Okay, so I am generally someone who tries to do these videos with a little bit of organization and nuance. So while I don't go ahead and go so far as to write a script ahead of time or like bother editing the videos for brevity, although I'll make comments on if there's like errors or issues I realize after the fact, nor do either of those really matter because I don't really monetize the videos. To which, if you're still getting ads, because I know Google says that they would add ads even if you aren't ad supported, I'd suggest not watching those TM, since they don't mean anything to me and I myself don't watch ads TM. In any case, as far as EXO and the title of today, perhaps a bit more of a clickbaity, rage-baity title than I'd normally use, but it is precisely my first reaction to hearing about this update. So I gotta say, bad day so far. You know, my iced tea canister, what do you call it, pitcher, forgot to clean that out last time, so now it's got grody and I can't even have iced tea today. So right off the bat, we're just setting me in a bad mood. So maybe you could consider everything I talk about in this video tainted by that and biased and thus not really objectively true. But in any case, my thoughts are going to be a little bit scatterbrained here as a result of me literally not even reading the patch notes before we go through them together in this video, because that's the kind of high quality content I know that you want to see from me. But first, a little background. So, Crossout is a game I've been playing for 3-4-ish years, something like that, and the game is pretty neat. I basically liken it to Lego with cars and a Mad Max post-apocalyptic sprinkle of flavor on top. But that doesn't mean things are all well in Waffletown. So the last year especially has been kind of grody. So for those who are not aware, which if you're watching this video at this point seems unlikely, I do a lot of spreadsheeting for this game. So I'm not going to pretend that I have any more of a handle on it than the devs, certainly because a lot of the information is just going to be me taking the system design that the devs have done and quote-unquote reverse engineering it, which is to say reassembling it from the values they show us on screen and try to synthesize it in a useful manner. But I have been paying attention to things for quite a bit. So I've been here, for instance, since Doomsday Cars, so yeah, 3.5 years now. And the quality of stuff notably has gone very downhill off the last year. So as a kind of rehash of stuff I've talked about before and things that are in my comment history on the Reddit, but the way that Reddit stores comments and organizes them is super grody, and honestly I should probably just reference all these texts and then throw them in a Google Doc with links or something, but I haven't done that yet because that would require work, and as I may have alluded to a couple of times already, I don't find that fun. So the whole Battle Pass system kicked off basically when every other game and their mom got a Battle Pass system, and it was actually pretty neat to begin with. So I jumped in on Doomsday Cars, which is to say I wasn't here for Return of the Founders nor any of the rewards, which included permanent blueprints, which yes, I'm still a little bit salty about, but c'est la vie, I still got the permanent blueprints for the seasons onwards. Now they've been kind of squeezing people in the meantime with battle passes, so I actually made a post about this 9 months ago, where it was really starting to ramp up. So I will just read this off screen where I had it whilst I refer to the specific corresponding seasons. So many packs and cosmetics being only available for cross crowns. Everybody who has ever dealt with a game or game design or hard currencies or premium currencies or real life money currencies or RMTs, they know that they generally kind of suck because they'll purposefully have poor breakpoints, such as you only being able to buy them in packages of 40 but needing 100 for an item, or even as gross as needing 110 for an item and only being able to buy them in hundreds or whatever, stuff like that. Having multiple taxes and exchange rates applied to them since you're spending real money on an intermediary currency, which means for some reason it's different than just buying goods directly, which is a lot of fun a lot of times. And like, cross crowns in general have been super grody. So we as Xbox players have had it as long as I've been playing. So, mid 2020. But PC didn't get it until they sort of started unifying our platforms, which people kind of sort of hoped was going to be for crossplay, but they also guaranteed crossplay by end of 2022. And that hasn't happened yet. So maybe sometime in 2024, if the game doesn't, die before then, whether effectively or literally. But yeah, they're a grody currency that some people didn't have to deal with, but now everybody has to deal with. So that's fun. And like games like Warframe, which actually there was a thread about like games that you could play without putting any money in. And Warframe was one of the most popular answers because they have their system where you can trade their hard currency with other players on the market for items in game, which means you can just grind or get lucky or piggyback on other people's runs, get some money, buy the things you want, easy peasy. Literally don't have to put any money in the game, which is what I myself have done with, I want to say like 3,000 hours of the game or something. I don't think I bought literally anything for real money. I might be wrong about that, but I don't think so. Anyway, XO basically punishes you for wanting to buy things, especially when those things are not purchasable via any other way. So you got to deal with all those bullshit things necessarily in order to get the, one or two things you're looking for, which is also just super cool and fun. Now, as far as Battle Pass item crafting, originally, like I said, all the blueprints we got from them were permanent, and that was pretty cool. So as of even right now, or earlier in the week, I built a Nova cabin out of parts that are readily accessible on the market because I have the permanent blueprint from Doomsday Cars. But in Guiding Star, the 5th Battle Pass, so a year later, they made it so that you could only craft items during the season. So for legendary items only, for Guiding Star, which was kind of gross, and people didn't like that, but they doubled down anyway and said, okay, well, now we're not giving you any item rewards permanently. We'll maybe give you guys some work pieces as an alternative, so you can use that at any point to craft the item of name with a limited quantity and with a limited requirement. So for instance, work pieces I was actually a pretty big fan of for a couple of reasons. One, because if it was for a regular item that was otherwise available, it would require one less item than normal. So for instance, a cyan item normally requires 2 blue items. But all these bad boys, which I will note the Summoner is from the 1st Battle Pass and the Temper is from Syndicate, the 4th Battle Pass, so while these are not technically normally available, they are permanently available to the community so long as players from that era still play the game. But Synthesis is just always available via Dawn's Children, so probably the best example here. Normally requires 2 rare items, now it only requires 1, and then a different smattering of resources. The way the math works out, though, it's generally in your benefit to do so. If something is restricted to a season, such as the Bootstrap was, or pretty much anything else after Season 6, they would have the work pieces have regular cost of items, again, slightly different cost of resources, but would otherwise be the only way to get those items. So the quote-unquote discount was over having to buy it for 2 to 3 times the price on the market. But that being said, they did take up space in your resources tab, which is kind of annoying, especially because some of them have literally never been profitable to craft. And some of them required things that were otherwise still not super available, other than, for instance, if there were people who had been there during the season, or even things that came out and specifically only came from other work pieces or crafting during the season as they went on. So they did a really great job of sort of nosediving as it went. So it lasted a whole 3-4 seasons. They started adding mini seasons, but they were free, so little complaint there other than the leaderboard restricted rewards. But c'est la vie, it's inherently a competitive PvP game, so it kind of makes sense to reward the top players, even though the way they do it is not very kosher, but whatever. Then in Big Chase, they were like, you know what, nah, work pieces, honestly, we're being way too nice to you guys. We're just not going to offer that to you anymore. You're not going to be able to craft things outside of the season. So that was fun. Like, they did have a couple ones, I think a couple of work pieces that came out in the season for prior items. So again, the cheaper crafting, but not any of the new items. And then immediately after, as we probably should have all expected, they just completely took out work pieces entirely. So to my knowledge, there hasn't been any work pieces since, basically all of 2023. Which, I mean, if you also look at them adding systems and then immediately retiring them, they basically did the same thing with Amusement Park, which added the testing range. I think we had one competition, and they still haven't changed any of the functionality or fixed any of the bugs or really introduced any new items that weren't around at this time period, other than a couple of monoliths / shrines as a final reward for some of these other seasons. So that's always fun. And then they started introducing paid battle passes, which would have the entire cost of a regular battle pass, but would last for a shorter period of time, thus offering less rewards, and also had unique items that you couldn't get elsewhere. So that was great. So instead of I'm going to pretend that this is the golden era, maybe even include Return of the Founders. I don't know. I mean, there's still certainly balance implications and some scumminess and bullshit and whatnot. But if we pretend that these are the pinnacle of Crossout, you're basically going from looking at spending 10 US, 15 Canadian dollars in a 3-ish month period for a battle pass of content. So generally multiple legendaries, multiple epics, some new structural parts that save you having to buy them off the badge exchange, etc., to them having these shorter form battle passes because they wanted to milk some more money out of us more quickly. So instead of 10 to 15 bucks every 3 or 4 times a year, go down to doing that every couple of months. And then they're like, nah, that isn't working. I believe they never explicitly stated why. I know there was some controversy around this, but personally I feel like they just realized they couldn't keep up with the content. And I could totally be wrong about that. There's certainly other factors. To what degree each is more important than the last, I don't know. But I feel like that was the implication I was getting. In any case, then they went back to the full-length ones and then had those super nice free battle passes now be paid ones. So for possibly the same period of time as before in the recent examples, they've all actually been longer, which allows them to spread content out and add prestige rewards, which, again, isn't inherently bad since originally we didn't have any prestige rewards, to looking at you spending 10, 15 bucks in a 5-month period, but then also doing that, 3 to 4 times, 5 times for other events. Yeah, a bit much. So, I mean, inflation's a thing, and technically it has value in the economy, and, like, there's, a fucking war going on in Russia and Ukraine, more like an invasion, let's be real, but in any case, a significant consumer of resources and lives for certainly legitimate and reasonable uses, but enough so to quadruple, triple the cost of things, not even including packs or buying things for specific fusion events, which they've had more and more of. I don't know, but anyway, this is not necessarily, again, objectively, like me being like, oh, I crunched the numbers and things got so much worse, and now I'm relaying these to you probably about a year and a half too late for you to do anything about them. But I don't know, maybe this will be a fun little retrospective source that a video in the future can talk about the rise and demise of Crossout or something. I don't know. This is, like I said, not really something I had a whole lot of plans about, so it's probably going to be me ranting more so than normal, which I already do quite a bit of. So, yeah, maybe I'm like 15 minutes late on stating that in the video, but, I'm staying in now, so if you're watching, you're in for a real good time. And I'll actually put timestamps up on this one sooner rather than later to make it a little bit more accessible to the general public, methinks. So, yeah, that was fun. And, like, to be fair, to begin with, these actually did include vehicle packs. So, something I've also mentioned before, I've actually gone and done comparisons of a bunch of the seasons. So, I don't even have all of this done. This is something I've just been working on, like, off and on. I'm getting lots of errors right now because I haven't been keeping up on updating it. But I was eventually trying to ascertain how much value would you get from a single battle pass, because determining that for things like packs is super easy because all of the items are going to be available on the market for fairly obvious price, whereas some of these things are going to be indirect via items being upgraded or entirely obscure based off of how much the market decides it's worth, which will differ from platform to platform. So I tried to account for that, unify. I didn't have anybody come up with any better ideas. So this is something that I've also stopped working. Basically everything Crossout related I've sort of stopped working on for the spreadsheet because it's just, the game's been really shitty recently. And so, yeah, this isn't finished, but this was an overview, an attempt at me determining the approximate value of these battle passes, because as I had suspected, because you were getting a lot more value out of these mini battle passes faster as a result of the shorter time period, the approximate equivalent value to a full battle pass was there. So on the scale of, this being 4 times as long as this, you'd be getting approximately the same value twice in that time period. That being said, you'd again be paying for it 3 to 4 times. But if you're only here for a season, or if you're dipping in and out of the game or whatnot, then spending $10-15 on something that you only have to stick around for a month and then leaving and coming back checking later might actually work for you. I don't know. But yeah, they also started off with vehicle packs, and then as of the 4th one, they're like, nah, these goobers don't need vehicle packs, which is unfortunate because I think even if they were just already parts that were in the game, and for the most part they did add some new parts, even if they were just decor, cosmetic, aesthetic, that a lot of the appeal of the game is being able to I don't know how to say constantly, but consistently sometimes have new parts to make your build look cool, iterate on prior builds, especially when they aren't balance related ones that require you to completely rebuild the build from the ground up because something now weighs 600 kilos more, just the fun stuff, right? But yeah, then they stopped adding vehicle packs, and then as well, during that period of time, they also made it so that you actually can't craft the new items in that battle pass unless you pay for it. So we went from having permanent free blueprints for anybody who played during the season up here to pay us, and we'll let you temporarily craft things during this window of time, which oftentimes requires items that aren't available otherwise. So, you know, what a privilege, really. Yeah, so that was my comment as of 9 months ago, and it didn't really get better since then, so that's fun. That's always nice. There was also some other controversy. So, for instance, we went from no prestiges, which kind of sucked, to a prestige that was relevant to the flavor of the season, which would have been good if not for the need to purchase the battle pass in order to get it, and people not wanting to purchase this battle pass because it's primarily for testing range things, to money, which is great. A little bit of incentive, less so on the console platforms where costs are highly inflated due to a duping or money glitch or I don't know, something priorly. In any case, the exchange quote-unquote rate between platforms and PC is approximately 3-to-1, so 20 coins there would go a lot further than 20 coins here. But in any case, it was a reward. No rewards given for prestiges for the free passes since there was no paid tier, which made sense. And then we started getting lighters, which was actually a fairly interesting premise. So for those of you who aren't familiar with it, although I don't know how, because if you're watching this video, you probably either played Crossout in the last, year and a half, or I mean, I suppose maybe this is, again, something where people are referencing this in the far future, in which case I pity you for not having the opportunity to have played Crossout while it didn't suck. Assuming it doesn't get better, and rootin' shootin' Papa Putin doesn't, end the war, and then the war is the whole reason why all of this shit was going down with the Russia-based company, and then everything gets better, and then it goes back to how it was, and that's very optimistic thinking, so I don't think that's the way it's going to go, but, hypothetically speaking. So originally you had no prestige rewards, then you had a fixed prestige reward, and then they came up with actually, legitimately a pretty good idea of pick your own reward. So you show up, you complete the battle pass, you keep doing your dailies, which do expire. So to be fair, that was a concern. Now, admittedly, that only started with Polar Lights because Mr. Twister was a special event, and therefore their challenges do not expire. But from then onwards, they sure did. The ability to pick a item of your choice. So I don't even have the list open. Maybe that would have been wise. Like I said, I didn't prepare for this at all. So, Mr. Twister, Crossout Battle Pass. Praise be the wiki contributors. Yeah. So, got new item rewards, yep, whatever, and then, at the end, you could question why the Xbox app thinks I stopped playing. Bro, I was here this whole time. You're being mean. I was using it as background music. I was going to play somewhere. Damn. That's funny, it's still playing it in the background, but it's not literally connected here, but I'm also getting the audio. So apparently I can't click away from that screen for too long. I was talking about bad design, and they're like, wow. Anyway, where did that window go? Interesting, it wasn't showing up on the other monitor. Anyway, so you had, the things, and this was actually really fun. This also came with a blueprint, which, again, it wasn't great, but it was pretty cool. And then you craft with lighters. Ooh, fancy. So, and, still ones were still grossly OP. Destructors still are grossly OP since launch. I don't think they've literally even changed anything about it. But in any case, you choose your own rewards here, so that was pretty cool. And again, the whole FOMO thing of but you gotta show up daily and complete all those challenges if you want to get to the very end. And that's just how she works sometimes. I would certainly prefer if it wasn't that way, but that's how EXO's been doing things since basically the start with prestige levels. So, c'est la vie. In any case, yeah, that was where we started getting all these shenanigans. So I had that for a little bit. That was great. And then almost immediately after, i.e. the actual debut as a battle pass of it. They did a little fucky-wucky, and maybe it was Operation Radiant. Let me see. Boom, 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 boom. This was 9 months ago again. I feel like it may have actually been for Road to Singularity. Oh, Operation Radiance. Okay, so it was a Mini-Battlepass during that. Yeah, okay, so at this point, instead of having directly a intermediary currency for the main battle passes and for the mini battle passes, they had the mini battle passes prestige items include specific recipes for crafting other upgraded items, and those would be unique recipes to the battle pass requiring specific items. So in these cases, instead of crafting with lighters, you'd be crafting with iris, summoner, tempura, and eventually, because of course they did, they ended up requiring various other items, including ones that aren't otherwise available. So that's fun. And if we pull this up and we go to battle passes, wow, where's the link for this? Sure has a lot of ads on this page for something that's supposed to be being blocked by ad block. Whoops, let's see, battle pals. Oh, thank you. Or unless you are very ornery about it having a space in it, I guess. Okay. And then we scroll. And now the Xbox app is dying too. That's a conspiracy. They don't want me doing a super shitty job talking about the history of Crossout. I'm trying to take away your guys' high quality entertainment. That's right, the background music isn't really that important right now, so if it cuts out, whatever. That's a good example. I don't think I was even here for this one, so I don't even think I have that on the graph. That's kind of funny. Anyway, this is weird. Where's the... There we go. Archive. So, Mr. Twister, very nice, has lighters. We buy the unique things. And then after that, we can create certain things. So, temporary crafting, which had very explicit... it's weird that this is not... It doesn't have a link to its own page with all the item rewards like before. That's right, it's a wiki. Things being fucked up is just generally how she goes. So I couldn't even tell you what the crafting recipe for this was, but maybe these guys can. There we go. Yeah, see, so you'd need irises to craft the millers, which normally you don't need irises at all. Sorry, you do. Apparently you need one. I lied. I deceived you guys. So just doing stuff like that, which got into fairly difficult ones, especially for parts that had become exceedingly meta and expensive and overpowered. So this is even the newer version, but we can see for this specifically, you'd be looking at 5 millers, which would be equivalent to 15 iris. So, you know, if you were expecting to be able to get that from just completing the mini battle pass, you would be incorrect. So, additionally, let's see, this was also 9 months ago, so it would have been, yeah, so this is Operation, or no, this is a Road to Singularity stuff, right? No, my math is bad. It's still 2023, so it would have been February-ish. So yeah, Operation Radiant stuff. So I'm confused because this doesn't really mention needing therms. In any case, around this time they started adding exclusive like packs that would just so happen to bring up the items you needed for crafting these limited time availability things that you can get elsewhere. So we got this bad boy, which was stupidly expensive and yet contained therms, which again, because of how they had completely handicapped your ability to get parts from elsewhere meant that you had to buy this pack or directly buy this pack by buying it from people off the market in order to get the therms, in order to craft things. So I was fairly against that, which, you know, seems to be a pretty common thing happening nowadays. Crazy that. But yeah, so like just the general cross crown bullshit, and then conversions, and then being temporary, and then things just being not great and continually being more and more FOMO and arguably pay to win. So that's fun. Anyway, then we had this cool little thing with Operation Radiance where they also cucked us. Which I know, shocking that they'd go so far as to do that after all we've seen so far, but it's true. So, like I said, I think it was Operation Radiance. Maybe it was Polar Lights. It was probably Polar Lights. That would make sense. So, up until this point, we didn't actually ever know the total EXP count or the total challenges count for things, so we just kind of had to guesstimate, which is why all these values are in yellow, because I can't actually be sure that these were like the final values. So for instance, in Syndicate, I have a banner logo from the Syndicate Battle Pass that has me at level 120, but by this math I should have only been able to hit 116. So like, I didn't buy levels. Sure as shit wasn't going to spend money just to get 80 coins. So, like, why is there the discrepancy? I don't know. But in any case, this came to a head in our friend Polar Lights, where we realized that you're not going to be able to actually get the rewards you think you'd be able to get, because they actually cut off the challenges early. So that was actually the case with both Polar Lights and Operation Radiance, based off of my comment here. So fairly long one, where the original calculations fell through because, oh yeah, by the way, we're not adding challenges in the last week. Like, excuse me, why? So that caused a bit of an upset, and me ranting in text form. A little variety for you guys, new spice of life today. And lots of people being upset about that. Shocker. So fun fact, this is the most upset I've seen people be until, believe it or not, this update. That's the purpose of the video. Like, I went to bed, I don't know when they announced this, probably yesterday when the Mini-Battlepass ended. They immediately dropped a new update and new systems and balance changes, and I'm sure probably another Mini-Battlepass, knowing them at this point, so we just literally don't get a breather for anything other than FOMO dailies and them asking us to spend more and more money on their game. But in any case, yeah, people were upset, so I didn't check after reset, so it was about, 16 hours? Just to be fair, in the long run, that's quite a bit of time, but, like, I logged on to Reddit, and there was, like, 3 fucking pages of people, like, complaining about stuff, and I'm not going to say that not everybody was, on the level. Like, some of these are just whiny things, or the regular spam of crossplay win, track buff win, etc., but, like, normally I log on and it's like a page. So there's been at least a significant increase in engagement, and I'm assuming that's not a good thing when all of it is people complaining about the new update. But again, I haven't read the patch notes yet, so I don't even know if this really is a terrible thing for XO or not. But I'm giving a bit of background so that we can find out together. Yeah, so that was fun, and everybody, including myself, very much pissed. So yeah, because we literally can't know or plan ahead of time. So the response to that for Operation Radiance was basically get fucked. Now, to their credit, they started with having the challenges show up every 23 hours rather than 24, and so we ran out of challenges early, but even if they hadn't done that, we still wouldn't have had challenges to the very end, and that was what my original calculation was based off of, which I shared with the community. So they're like, whoopsie poopsie. So yeah, we'll let you know. And people were upset because they didn't actually fix the issue. So I wrote a fairly, I think people even referred it, well, I guess not if they delete it, but people were like actually saying, hey, thanks for having a fairly nuanced and not super ragey take, unlike a bunch of people here, which, to be fair, are reasonable to be ragey. But yeah, not great. So I made a couple of suggestions for, like, why don't you just fucking tell us how many challenges there are left so we can do the math ahead of time instead of guessing and then having you tell us on the last week, oh yeah, by the way, you're out of challenges. Especially for, you know, not being able to get the final fucking item out of this battle pass, which people explicitly bought it for because it's the Omamori, and the Omamori is cracked and overpowered. And again, still has been for, I don't know, a year and a half, 2 years. So, yeah. That's just, you know, lots of fun. And eventually they did do that. So now we know how many challenges we get ahead of time, so we can guarantee these EXP numbers. And also, sometimes people are still bad at math and think, oh no, you're not going to be able to get your, you know, so Between Two Fires just ended, and people are like, oh no, at level 40 you get a Thor generator, and that's a pretty big deal because that's a 4 energy generator for the equivalent of paying $10-15 and then grinding. And then because it's an event, which again, I have stopped tracking them, but because it's an event, you could just show up on the last day and complete all the dailies because they all stack up. So, you know, for $10 you can get end game generator, which you could even trade in for other upgraded legendaries or just use, because now you as a newbie have the ability to get to as high of a power score as you need to get into hard raids, basically out the gate. Not to say you'll be effective there, or that they're worth doing since the batch changes, or that they're fun doing since there hasn't been any, you know, variability change over the last year, but it's an option, and we do like giving people options. So, Vaterkvarn stash. Immediately after, they still fucked up. So, because said don't purchase them before you know the EXP, I didn't do that on the next one, and wouldn't you know, they removed it from the store early, the ability to purchase the battle pass. So despite these still being locked, you couldn't actually purchase the full version. So that upset people. He fixed it, or rather they fixed it, and Phelan mentioned it was fixed. So that was super cool. I did eventually find out, talking to Spatulated on PC, the reason is because they started it late for Xbox and console in general, for whatever reason, obviously some sort of deployment issue, and then we ended late, but they forgot to have the sale end later, so that was at least a little bit more reasonable of you know, a change. But yeah, so now we're, you know, past down here, and yeah, things have just not gotten better. So the current state of things is very reliant on people buying deluxe packs at $50+ a pop for the unique items from those packs in order to craft the unique, time-limited, overpowered available items from the paid battle pass, which doesn't give you enough items to begin with to craft the things. So pretty aggressive monetization there. You know, just a little bit, Tarkham. Just a little bit. And that basically leads us to, I think, today. So we don't need to read the patch notes to take a peek at what the new one has. I'm guessing it's probably going to be buying more shit. So, what is this? Is it a new... I clicked on rewards, didn't I? Am I a dummy? Wow, that is a lot of snow. They already had a bit of snow, but now it's actively snowing. So that I'm not necessarily entirely against, but yeah, you know, in any case. Okay, so Rise of the Machines, that's the title update name, so that's going to be it. So what is this then? I think this is just the seasonal crafting. Yeah, oh, and look at that Omamori of the tradable variety, of which just doesn't fucking exist regularly, unless, oh, would you look at that? If you buy the new Mini-Battlepass, you'll get it, just like the one that ended yesterday with the Thor. So this hyper meta, incredibly important module is available so that you can craft the things you want to craft otherwise. So isn't that fun? Isn't that great? Doesn't that spark joy? Oh, and look at that. You can even craft it otherwise with these definitely not overpriced recipes of prior items that don't even count the ones from prior battle passes, unless they feel like, yeah, why not? Fun. Okay, well, I will say, I feel like I'm losing my mind. So is Rise of the Machines okay, so this is the seasonal one. All right, so more Field of the Fire, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, engraved casings are basically extinct in this game because you originally got them from our friend Adventure Mode, and then they retired them, just like with coupons, which originally came from raids, and then they retired them. So the prices for these bad boys has gone up significantly. Ew, they changed the crafting menu. So instead of 125 for 1,000, 13 for 100, it's now 4 to 5 times that price because there's only a limited amount on the market. How whimsical. And then guess what? You use these bad boys on this bench for crafting these bad boys, which, guess what? Yeah, you can also get off of a pack. How convenient for them to give us another route. And then these guys are used in the current battle pass to craft the new rewards. Isn't that crazy? So yeah, it's like 5 fucking layers of monetization on top of each other. It's ridiculous. You can't even just get what you pay for nowadays because what you pay for is incredibly dependent on other paid things. So that's super cool. That's super fun. Anyway, I guess we would probably read the patch notes since obviously all of these other things are interconnected. Shame on me for thinking otherwise and trying to jump around. So let's check out Reddit. How can we fix it? Wow, if only there was a way over the past 2 years we could have done something about like complaining or mostly complaining. Oh, and we did that. It didn't do anything. So it feels like they're actively spiting us nowadays and trying to like they're being very apparent, transparent, and aggressive with their just milking whales monetization strategy, which is funny because it's not funny, but is coincidental because about a couple weeks ago, somebody was asking about like, why would they purposefully make the game worse? And my response was like, well, if they think they can get more money out of it, either by reducing costs because nobody else other than the whales play and then they don't have to upkeep as many servers, or that they'll convince more people to become whales, or they'll convince the whales to spend more. Why wouldn't they, from a purely economical, why would I give a fuck about making a fun game perspective? And like I said, who knows the real reason behind it? Is it inflation worldwide catching up, the own destructive fruits of years of consumerism and capitalism finally reflecting not only on the youth of today, but the mega corporations themselves? I don't know. Is it the general juxtaposition of the super greedy suits that own companies and publishers deciding that they need to maximize money for shareholders and themselves, and the devs trying piously against it? I don't know. I mean, like, the new content's at least pretty fire, generally speaking, ironically. But we don't really have the insight to know what's causing all of these things. We just know that they're obviously doing it because they think it makes them more money, at least in the short term, other than, killing their fucking game, as the Steam charts show. Or... like, I don't think they're doing it for the lulz. I don't think anybody's seeing the, like, significantly increased negative backlash of every update against Crossout and being like, this is what we're aiming for. This is our long-term business plan. We're going to make a machine that runs entirely off of gamer salt. I don't think that's the case. I mean, maybe, I don't know, shit, maybe they figured out a new way to purify salt water into fresh water, and they're going to have a monopoly on it in the near future. I don't know. In any case, it just generally sucks. So let's go through the actual update notes themselves. I always adjust these, and then I save them, and then it refuses to remember next time, which makes me, think they don't actually save it, but whatever. Anyway, new event, we're not going to watch that. this is the same thing as last time you grind. You probably make plastic. Oh, that's actually not bad. I'm not going to lie, because beforehand, it was only just plastic, and, like, plastic is used in a lot of, like, mid-tier item crafting, which means that it's necessary for high tier, but, like, plastic is only available from one source, which is medium raids, generally speaking, and people hate PvE. So last time, this was a specific way to, like, grind it faster or better via other events, but it looks like they are changing to electronics, which is great, because that's actually used in higher tier crafting and a lot more rare despite its relatively lower price for reasons unknown to me. And then a PvE option for actually getting the the crafting for the new year thing. So this is Cracker's temporary resource. Yeah, not shocking. Leaderboard. Yeah, so this is totally just going to get fucking gamed as per usual. I don't even need to read through it. Special daily challenge. I mean, okay, free stuff is cool. That would have been nice to know ahead of time, but, like, people have been, like, working on collecting all these parts over the past 3 fucking years, so, like, this doesn't accomplish anything other than for new players, which they obviously hate in this game. Let's see, Odin, so this is the reason why people think the game's gonna die, which is because I'm not even subscribed to Byron Ray, fuck off. Okay, is he probably here? No. Well, this is another great example. So, newest Relic item, dummy expense. I mean, everything on, console is dummy expensive compared to PSI. But even for relics on console, which are normally 30 to 40,000, this guy is another half that. And that's because it requires 2 Memories, which, as we said, are super overpowered, the single most expensive legendary item in the game, and then Beholder. So, to their credit, Beholder is actually something you could have a permanent recipe for as a result of being here during Amusement Park. But that's basically, it's just going 1 for 2 or 2 for 4 on top of all the normal bullshit with uranium ore, which I'm not even going to get into. But oh, look at that, their prices have spiked up again, because of course they did. Hey, that's new. That's super fucked up. They want to eat ducks to make another duck. I don't like that. I like that we got a duck for free from the Battle Pass. I don't like that. Alright, so Odin, boom bam. So look at that. It requires 2 of the Thors, which is an enormous slap in the face of literally anybody ever who invested into the last Battle Pass, because the Thor was, again, a limited time blueprint item that you cannot craft anymore, that they brought back to make profit off of in the last mini battle pass and sell you more shit, which required you to have prior battle pass exclusive items in order to craft, or buying them off of other people, or buying them via the deluxe pack sales that they had, and then turning them into the legendary upgraded, the upgraded legendaries from the last battle pass. Then, literally the next day, they go and say, oh yeah, by the way, we're also going to use those for this new relic item. So, yeah, we're just going to casually double in price again. So, yeah, fuck literally anybody who used this in the past 2 weeks as per the entire purpose of your last event. So this is honestly really just spitting in people's faces. And then the Stellwind, which has been ever popular because of how overpowered it was, and now they've been sitting on it for a while and letting it be mid, and then they're like, oh yeah, by the way, we're also going to require that and triple the price. So that'll learn us for trying to, enjoy the game or play Crossout in any way that isn't just, min-maxing market gains and hoarding items and wealth from other players. Because that's the real competitive component of the game, right? This end game effectively mandatory item being locked behind, another 7 layers of bullshit. So that's fun. That's cool. Everybody likes that. So, yeah, now there's the argument of seal clubbing, of which this is at low risk of because it's 3,000 power score, to which I say, if you think people are seal clubbing with generators to begin with, you're missing the entire point of them, which is to take them into lower power score, which necessitates having less energy and thus less power score on the build. So you're seeing people running dual cyclones or Helios, or I mean, like Avalanche is a poor example, but like that was probably one of the hardest ones to seal club with, because it's a block of 12 energy with the corresponding power score attached to it. You can only lower it so far, especially with the mass and energy limits on it, but pretty much any of the other weapons have no such restrictions. You can drop down pretty fucking low if you're running a Jormungandr or a Flash and you're just running that. So like I don't see the counter seal clubbing component of this, because like yes, it's heavy and yes, it's high power score, but if you're running a build that is 17 energy or 16 or even 15 with the lowest tier cabin available, 15 energy of what? You're going to be running 7 chords against these people? That's not seal clubbing, that's just fucking around for the fun of it. Like I literally already have a build that does that, and I gotta wait for it to load so I can find it because I haven't named it yet. Guess what? You aren't seal clubbing this motherfucker because it's 12,000, 13,000 power score despite using white items. Like, nah, bro. I don't think seal clubbing is the primary concern. But what it does mean is that any time where power score gets shoved out the window, like, I don't know, clan wars or events, you know, you're literally just at a straight up deficit by not having this, because you have one less energy point to play around with. And now again, does 16 versus 17 or 15 versus 16 energy make such a big deal in most cases? Probably not by itself, no, but when you consider the kind of people who are spending 3 times the cost on a single relic on the Odin, and then probably going to do that again and fuse it, and then do that with all the other components on their builds, yeah, all these small benefits add up. If you have 10% higher damage and are 10% tankier, and you're also running a 4-stack of people against another 4-stack, or even just randos who don't have any of those things, might not even have the tier of items that you're at, never mind the upgrades for them, how are they supposed to compete? Like, you're basically asking them to completely make up whatever difference in ability there is of all of these hard systems in game that you're using completely with their skill and tactics. And while I'm sure that would be quite an appreciable moment to witness, you're not going to let them do that over and over and over and over and over and over and over. In fact, the kind of people who run stuff like this, especially in those lower power scores and are seal clubbing, they're going to be doing quite the opposite. They are maximizing all of these systems on top of having their 10,000 hours in the game or so on, in order to absolutely wreck lobbies. Like, you'll go and see high tier clans running at 6,000 or 9,000 power score, literally getting 30, 40, 50 win streaks with fuel, not even having the entire enemy team even able to kill one person. So yeah, now that there is literally an entire other layer of power available to them via a higher energy count, it's just going to exacerbate that difference. So, not really a fan of it, and unfortunately this is precisely what everybody and their mom was worried about was going to happen when they teased a new item that would allow an avalanche and execution on one build, because this is like the super hardcore pay-to-win whale milking strategy that everybody was like, well, I mean, they're not that stupid. Well, they're not that out of touch with the player base. And they proceed to show once again that obviously, yeah, they are, because fuck us, I guess. So that's, yeah, that's a thing. And like, to be fair, in like PvE or just messing around and like Bedlam builds and stuff, like this is a really cool, fun option, because there are many builds which, believe it or not, I've spreadsheeted a bunch of them again. There are a bunch of builds that could benefit from having one more energy, namely weapons that are running 15 energy via 3 weapons of 5 energy each. So now, instead of having 3 Stillwinds and then basically requiring an RN seal, for your 16th and final energy on a non-heavy cabin, and then having the option of, well, what cabin do you want to run? Do you want to run the Nova for a shield, the Master for healing? Hint, nobody wants to do that. Or the Beholder or Hippogriff for invisibility, or Wallhack Radar pseudo energy in. Now you can do that and also have a cloak and run the Beholder's upgraded cloaking effect, or just not go with the Beholder because now you have an extra energy. You can use a chameleon, and now maybe you can run the Nova and have a cloak and have 3/5 energy weapons. You can even do it for lower tier builds where like people are just fucking around, like I said, with 7 quartz. Like, that's not an issue. But again, at the tiers of play where power score doesn't matter, which also conveniently for these high tier players on Xbox is basically any power score above 12,000 or 10,000, you're going to be getting matched up against literal 18 to 20,000 lobbies. Like, they like what are you supposed to do? You know, people already complain quite heavily and vocally, and I think to a certain degree, although not entirely unreasonably, about the energy difference between heavy and medium and light cabins, and then they just basically were like, hey, you want to see me duel the game? So that's great. So that, yeah, there we go. There's my little spiel on the Odin. What else we got? We got an event. This is just another battle pass, which we don't really need to read the details of, other than, hey, it requires the Thermogens, so better hope you didn't sell all of them literally overnight because you had an offer up and now they're suddenly used in the new content, right, Bronze? You don't do anything silly like that, right? Not like you're gonna use them for something else that wasn't relative to the event, right? Great. Let's see. Ninja Duck. So this is actually kind of interesting because Crew Duck is from the Mayhem. Globe Duck is from the Winter Battle Passes, events, things. And then Winter Duck is the new one. So this is actually pretty neat-ish, except I'd rather have 3 ducks rather than 1. But also I had 2 Globe Ducks for over a year and a half, so I salvaged one. So now, again, I'm kind of cucked. But like theoretically, you could have done 2 years of events for these and had the Ninja Duck and the Crew Duck and the Globe Duck and the Winter Duck. So that's kind of cool. New pack. Interesting. Oh, there it is. Whirl, which was, again, only priorly available via the Doomsday Card Battle Pass, and now we're selling that directly. Colossus was already directly sold via the other winter pack, so that's not really a big deal. These aren't new. Is interesting, and I don't know how it's not copyright infringement, but whatever. So this I don't really have a huge deal with, especially if it looks fire AF. I don't really follow Terminator, so I couldn't say for sure. But it looks cool. It gives worlds more prominence in the game. They don't really need it. They're honestly also semi-overpowered. But like, this isn't introducing anything as a pack exclusive that wasn't already available in the game permanently. So partial wins, I guess, that after all I'm saying, that's not the case with this. Oh shit, they got a World CK. Oh, Bang Shield's gonna love this shit. It's a Ravager CK. Ravager? It looks kind of Ravager. Whatever, I'll check on the actual game. It looks more like the Hyperborea, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, no, I don't know. Whatever, we'll check out in-game. Let's see, maps. I mean, I like that. I don't fully understand that, but whatever. Tonnage recalculation mechanics. So this is... Oh, they actually split into 3 groups. They made it more complex than it needed to be when it was already more complex than it needed to be. Great. So, theoretically, wedging is going to be less of a concern, which also means that in theory my fusion build with cold soup that I was talking about in the other video should be usable again. Yeah, interface, they changed things, so this is the high, low, super low discrepancy, which makes sense. Anti-wedge, which is relevant to what I just said 20 seconds ago, even though we hadn't got to the part where it read it yet. Balance changes. Oh boy. I I'm sure this is probably a section we're going to get pissed off about again, as well as that. Let's see. Let's read the non-enraging stuff, 'cause I think we've had enough of that in the basically last hour, me being upsetty. So, let's... Drop in the corner. This is caused by desync. Greater the movement speed. Okay. This I fuck with, although I literally don't use any of these items other than the neutrino, and I don't recall any collision model weirdness. And the fact that they say collision model rather than mesh leads me to believe that we won't see any visible difference until we start building with them. And again, I don't really build with these things, so it's going to be hard for me to actually ascertain what they changed and if it's for the better or worse. So if you're looking for that, you're going to have to check out some other video from some other person, I guess. Let's see. Own and liked. That's good. Now it's possible to activate the free camera. Free camera. I don't know what that means. Free camera interface. Not interface. Controls. Not controls. Controller. Not controller. Okay. What is the specific key for it then? It's not the self-destruct one. Nope, no, we're not going to queue up. Thank you. Let's see. Now it's possible to activate the free camera in the game center mode settings. The key responsible for the activation means key bending. You can activate the free camera in the test drive mode. So this we don't care about, but this we do. Free camera in the test drive mode. But if I go back to settings, and I go to controller layout, and I go build mode, free look or orbital camera, you move around freely, which we already can do. So what in the building mode? No, that's for range. I don't understand that at all, so that might be going completely over the heads of console players. I don't even see it as a replaceable option in the buttons list. I'm just going to ignore that because it doesn't make sense to me. Alright. New vehicle, yeah, that makes sense. They're now displayed in the lower right. That's good because it doesn't, get over the other windows you're using. Nice. Okay. Select an aircraft. The module window displays. Weapon and module setting displays for the loadout. What? So we got our aircraft. We have this as per usual. But if we check the blueprint, then it shows buttons. It always showed buttons. Maybe this list wasn't updated and it was still showing the armored car slot buttons, maybe. That's the best guess I got. In my case, I literally made them identical because I don't want to have a completely different control scheme. So yeah, I don't know what that's about. Great. Okay, so these things, either I'm a big dummy or these are worded incredibly poorly. Possibly both. Selecting an armored aircraft slot, the weapon and module setting window displays the layout for... It's got to be what I just said. I don't know how else to interpret that. New maps, display of correct region. Okay. Changed the display of the perk. How? Well, we can find out. Let's see, so that's not the perk being activated. And if we activate the perk, it is the same, isn't it? Has a green thing that times down the timeout on it, and it counts up to 10. And this is the protector, which is what they said they changed, right? What? Great. People were selling me things because everybody's offloading money for the new stuff. How exciting. Not shocking at all. Okay, fixed angle guardian, when you hit it's one, okay, I don't understand what they apparently changed for this. Alright, characteristics of trading window, yeah, we already saw, they shoved the parameters off to one side, which is kind of weird, but, like, whatever, I guess. The item's now bigger and takes up more of the screen vertically. I don't, because beforehand this was underneath, so like this had more dead zone on the left and right, but you can also see like I'm actually actively lagging as a result of how big it is, I guess. So I don't know how this is necessarily an improvement, because now we have less y-axis for, less x-axis for these details, and they have more y-axis available, but they didn't actually change this UI to make room for it. In fact, they squished this up, and now they made the actual text component squished more. So I don't know how this is supposed to be. I totally forgot to change screens. They squishy this, which is like kind of actually relevant to check out. They squishy this, which is kind of icky, and they squishy this, which is the actual, text form. So I don't understand what this is supposed to accomplish. Okay. Oh, mode conditions, sure. Sounds, sure. Sounds, sure. Let's see how they update. I don't have a one-to-one comparison, so like I can't do a side-by-side like I'm sure the YouTubers can or will do, but okay, they definitely made this sound a lot less sharp. Much more of a brrr. Ow, I just bit my tongue doing that. Ouchie. Anyway, not opposed to it, but also it's going to be even harder to tell when all your parts get fucking knocked off from one direction because of the cascade of sound now being less of one. Mammoth and Storm. Well, aren't we just lucky that I've got builds for 2 out of 3 of those? Oh, look at that. They got rid of the top 2 rows, which people were asking them to get rid of for a while. And they preloaded blueprints in the scroll list. Oh, man. This is actually a pretty good change. Let's see. We got this one. And they made that sound, I want to say less beefy, but more concise. Like now it's definitely a boom. Whereas before it was a lot, again, kind of a sharper sound. So I guess the like balancing the sound weapon balance is just an overall thing. And then if we check on this, I'm gonna be real, I don't recognize the difference on this one. Yeah, I don't know. Alright. What else? No, the armored vehicle does not receive a hit impulse. It's an active energy shield. Oh, that's interesting. Is that implying that beforehand if somebody toadfished an Aegis, it'd still send you flying? That would definitely have been feels bad, so that's nice. Changing the number of players, that's interesting. Never ran into that. Raider vehicles for PvP have been updated. That's not a bad thing, depending on what they mean by optimization purposes, I guess. Armored aircraft for victories, that's kind of cool. Both barrels of the AA gun. 2 shells fly out. The fuck does that mean? This is the Starfall. It has 2 barrels. Oopsie, not Owen. I don't know how you are supposed to apparently shoot through both barrels. I am just going to choose to believe that they originally had the shots line trace from one barrel rather than both, like they should have. Seems like a super weird thing to have done, quote unquote, wrong off the hop. Oh, you know what? Maybe they're just talking about these ammo casings. They did say shells, didn't they? I was assuming they meant like the projectiles you shoot, but maybe not. Headlight. Oh shit. Phew. What? Well, Bang Shield's gonna like this update even if nobody else does. Parameters. Yeah, their headlights turn on, can confirm. So what about the... CKs? Well, probably just that light, I suppose. And then those light. Okay. Decent. 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 Fixed a bug. Only affected one rocket. Interesting. Pipes would disappear. I don't even know what they're referring to. A lot of these things are not things I've ever run into. Okay, well, good to know that they're fixing it, I guess. Alright, now we get to do the actual rage-inducing and spreadsheeting part. So I will kick, as per usual, I will kick this up on the other screen and update the values, and then we can do the value compare overall afterwards. Not that we can do a before and after compare super easily without me maintaining multiple copies of the data, which I don't really want to. So, let's see. Charge got less hefty, which makes sense because it was far too hefty, relatively speaking, to its durability. So it looks like they may have try to unify these. I don't know, we still have very different dura and mass. Let me throw this up here like that, assuming they didn't change any of the other Jennies, which, oh, they did with the Apollo. Okay, damn, bro. Alright, we'll throw that in as well. And of course they're touching their child, the Thorn. Okay, so if we look at the values of these, it would have been nice if they're consistent, but they can't even keep the power score per tier of items for hardware consistent, so I really doubt that that's going to be the case. So if we look at the durability per mass of these bad boys, they confuse my... So, I mean, literally the best ratio by far is the Big G, which also only has a blast of 1, although they don't specify rather its radius or damage, but as a result of this also being the smallest generator, tied with the Ampere, should in theory have the smallest radius and the smallest damage and the best mass to... best durability to mass. So, unless I put those values in wrong... Big G, 101 durability, 36 mass. Nope. So, if you're wanting to be concerned about sealed clubbing, I mean, I guess this is probably one of the best examples. In fact, it's incredibly popular on the Big G and two R2 chills rather than no generator and an RN seal on the Cyclone spiders that are fucking everywhere. But this is definitely an outlier compared to the rest of the values. So if we even separate these into light and heavy, which is weird to me that this is technically the heaviest equivalent, so we're just going to pretend it's still a light generator. Actually, on the tech tree, it should specify with the lines. It feeds into the heavy generator, yep, so it's just considered the best by far. So light, heavy, heavy, light, heavy, light, heavy, light, heavy, light. So the ratios for this increases as you go up, but for this it goes super wonky. I'm guessing this is as a trade-off for it having an atrocious shape and thus taking up more space effectively due to the perimeter needed for armoring. I don't know, but we can also add our new bestie. The Odin. Compare that. That is a 3,000 power. Oops. 3,000 power score, 5 energy, 367, 874. That is apparently billed as a. Technically, it's listed as a Hyperborea faction. Like it has the, not only does it have the look, but it has the icon for it too, which is weird, but obviously it's still just an engineer's thing because all the relics are. And it has a blast of 10, which seems weird that it's only 0.5 more than the Thor. But I don't know. And then it goes back down. So yeah, it looks like they didn't bother being, at least from a data perspective, consistent with these values at all. Maybe there's some inclusion of volume incorporated that makes it make more sense. That is really the only way I can imagine these values being sensible. But even then, they don't seem to follow a super obvious progression. I mean, we can do the calculations itself. We have a volume of 3 by 3 by 2. This is 6 by 4 by 2. This is that. This is complex. I'll get to that after. This is 6 by 2 by 2. Yeah. The Apollo, technically it has its corners chopped off, so it's not really a 6 by because you can kind of fit a partial piece in there, but it takes up the, like, effectively entire slot as I recall. Well, let's not do things half-assed. If I'm doing volume calculations, I may as well use the same system I use for everything else, right? What a fucking smorgasbord of content this stream is going to be, isn't it? As we can just see. Yeah, okay, so the corners are fully cut off. I did not think that that was the case, but it shows what I know. Because I know you have a super shitty time trying to wrap around it with these, despite it logically making sense, but I think that's because this has a curve. I don't know the technical term for it, but basically the angle of this goes across 4 blocks, and this angle would go across 3 blocks, whereas the 4 blocks obviously either clip through these two or are this far out. So, like, I've just kind of done this before, but I figured that that was because we didn't actually have the corner missing. But we do have the corner missing, so look at that. We proved Braun's wrong on stream at least once so far in his own stream. How about that? So, that is then a more complex shape as well, but we have the game open so we can just look at it. So it has effectively a 6 by 5 plus 4 base, and then we can multiply that by 2, which sounds about right. So 4 pips less of a 6 by 6 by 2. The Thor is a 5 by 4 by 2, and the Odin is an 8 by 4 by 1 plus 4 by 4. So it's equal to a 8 times 4 plus 16. And then the bootstrap is a 5 by 4 by 2 plus 16 as well. So then now that we have the volume, if we look at the value, I don't know, I don't think this is going to make any sort of unified sense at all, does it? I don't know, maybe they took into account perimeter or area or something. But whatever. If we take the durability per mass per volume, then yeah, we get, oopsie, technically you should be that one, not that one, that one. And this isn't really terribly useful information, is it? Like, we can see the values of it very interestingly decrease as we get larger with the lighter generators. So it goes from 0.023 to 0.020 to 0.012 to 0.008. And then we can also see it decreasing with the other one. So I mean, I guess they're consistent in that sense, although I couldn't even discern if these jump values are consistently trending downwards. And in fact, the bootstrap one is again higher than the charge. I don't know. I feel like maybe they're just tossing these values out. This doesn't seem to be a data-driven thing. Like, it has to be to a certain extent, but I can't ascertain what that is at this point in time. Thank you, Windows Security. Very cool. Well, I'm just going to delete that info because it's not really super helpful, is it? Not that one. Not that button either. Okay. Use another keyboard for too much now. I don't even remember the fucking controls for it. Nice. Okay, great. Moving on. Goblin stuff sort of makes sense. Oh, so much spreadsheet. This is probably not... Whatever, this is already, what, hour and a half video? Yeah, well... I'll throw her over on the other screen and manually enter the value changes. Not that they ever organize these in a way that makes it easy to do, but whatever. So 30% damage pass through, 30% damage pass through, so they nerfed them a little bit, which makes sense because they were fixed angle shotguns, which also had melee damage resistance and damage pass through, so I'm not terribly concerned about that. Capcan is nerfed, which I'm sure most people will be happy to see, to 6 seconds. Tethers nearby enemies for up to 6 seconds after 2 second delay. Great. Mass increase despite the complaint that you're literally changing mass. It doesn't matter how greatly it will affect it. Any change to mass necessitates rebuilds. People don't have it be only 120 kilos off from full. They make it as close to it as they fucking can. So the other person's suggestion on the forums to instead reduce their durability makes a hell of a lot more sense to me, but they didn't go that route, so now instead of having an almost 1-to-1 ratio between durability and mass, they're now basically a, oh, what is this, 60% ratio, so like at least a lot more reasonable, I suppose, This I absolutely hate. I do not feel like we should be adding heating and ammunition to weapons that aren't normally heating and ammunition. So the flamethrowers and grenade launchers are sort of notable exceptions to the overheat or ammo and reload for having both as a result of their power, but also their potential damage being fairly limited to certain situations. And then the Miller, which admittedly has just been a straight upgrade to the Reaper for way too fucking long and probably has nothing to do with the incorporation of it into multiple temporary battle passes, is now going to be worse than it was, but also requiring multiple different forms of damage mitigation to balance it, which means that it's, I mean, unless they replaced the overheat, but I really don't think they did, because I feel like they would have mentioned it. Yeah, it has an overheating and has ammo, so that sucks. That's going to make it significantly more difficult to use. I would have preferred if they had just kept it, like, give it ammo, sure. Upgrade its energy cost so it's, you know, comparable to the Reaper, which is its step up from, but, like, don't make it also overheat. So this thing is probably going to feel abysmal to play. Gerida, yeah, I'm sure all of the problems with the Gerida are solved by nerfing its tonnage by 12%. That's exactly what we need. Thanks, Devs. I'm glad you're on top of it. So here we go. So just so everybody's on the same page for the stat difference, the radical shift this has accomplished. We used to be there, and now we're there. Ooh. Everything got slightly darker and less effective. So now the Gerida, which is ubiquitous in builds in general, never mind just on spiders, but everywhere, has now been fixed. I'm glad they were able to sort this out. I mean, to their credit, they do say the tonnage recalculation, the use of additional movement parts, but, like, people are using those parts for armor, not for tonnage, as I understand. So then make it the build lighter and more vulnerable. Bro, people just throw on one more leg, assuming they weren't already, like, granting more tonnage than they needed. This is the more significant component in the sense that it reduces the uptime significantly. They almost doubled the amount of time it takes to charge it, but the fact that the damage boost is effectively identical means that your, like, burst damage is gonna be effectively the same. No? So, like, you know, great. It's harder for them to now chain kills, but they're 95 kph build anyway. So, like, they'll just slap on a cheetah, which they were already doing, hit the speed cap, and then dash around slightly longer with their Bigfoot wheels and or hurts before needing to or wanting to engage again, but you didn't actually significantly decrease the damage on it. I feel like you probably could have bumped it down to 30% damage and it still wouldn't have made much performance difference. I don't really care what a lot of people were complaining about this, but every time I've seen the Astreus, it has been a fucking menace. And, like, not even just, like, obviously people seal clubbing with it being a component, but, like, even at the higher power scores, which is obviously consistent with what they've seen. So, I mean, I guess credit to them for, in this aspect, actually being willing to pull the trigger and say, hey, this is overperforming, we should nerf it. Why they're not doing it for literally everything else in the game, I don't know, whatever. Hilariously, I already have in this spreadsheet the Astreus damage bonus being a 50% damage bonus, which leads me to believe that either I missed a balance update, which is possible, because like I said, I missed an entire Mini-Battlepass, or they didn't actually change it. But I do believe they're going to be correct about that, so Here's hoping, I guess. So its reload time is now 5 seconds. Okay, impulse, they nerf fairly heavily. It's going to be kind of hard for me to determine all of these effects since I don't use it, but I can tell you they are also extremely prominent. So the fact they're saying they're just undoing changes leads me to believe it's probably rather fair. Right, this is interesting because they had already said that it had multiple... Oh, resistance to ram damage also applies to the front of the cabin. Interesting, because the parameter that the Tusk has is increased ram damage, which makes sense for its functionality. And then they're specifying here that the cabin has increased resistance to blast, ramming, and melee damage. Seems to indicate that the Tusk does not have increased melee damage, ramming damage, despite it having increased ramming damage. So I don't know what to do with that information, because I thought melee and ram damage were under the same category. Now they're seeming to indicate that it is a secondary different one. Also begs the question, are they not going to add the explosive damage resistance to the Tusk? I don't know. This is a good one. This sparks joy, theoretically. Whether or not it actually matters, I don't know, because it doesn't theoretically synergize with literally any build whatsoever, whereas being a fuse drone does. But whatever, at least it's going to make it more usable for the vast majority of people, despite me having really good fun of being a triple fuse drone that looks like a fuse drone, and then when I die becoming a fuse drone, but whatever. We're also going to have to see if it like does backflips every time it fires, like with the drone apocalypse, which made it effectively unusable. Let's see, resets after dealing damage, not ramming damage. Not after exiting. Interesting. So you basically have the ability to charge up, not engage until you have your cloak again, and then engage, and then cloak and immediately get it back. But this is at least not increasing the effectiveness of it overall, and actually this should theoretically decrease the effectiveness with how I was using it, which is with still ones, because beforehand the still ones perk is the same, I'm sure, but the still ones perk is that you can deal damage while invisible for 3 seconds without any negative effect. So not you. So what you could do is cloak, get the damage bonus, still have a significant amount of cloak time left over due to the Chameleon Mark II, since it would only take these, 4 seconds to charge up to max, and then, oh fuck, and they changed all the fusions as well, of course, so that's going to change all my builds. Great. Anyway, so you cloak, yours is at max charge, you still have quite a few seconds, but you could go shoot, 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 and then the 6 seconds would happen after being revealed. Which didn't occur here because I didn't actually damage anything because I was just shooting randomly. So let's try that out. But it also means, I guess, you can chain these together like I was saying. So you'd have your 3 seconds charged up. So now you wouldn't be able to get the 3 seconds of shooting and then 6 seconds after cloaks being broken. So my build just got nerfed as a result of that, as well as a bunch of these changes making them more usable for the general populace also decreases their explicit niche use, which I was doing. So that's fun, I guess, for other people, not as much for me. Let's see, Caucasus, yeah, that's not unreasonable. Reload time reduced to 6. Sure. And my Excel is being very buggy. We're just going to close and reopen you. And like these are effectively just straight upgrades to them, so can't really complain, can we? They're certainly not overpowered or omnipresent currently in any case. So reload time is now 6 and 6, so yay for them. They are like, yeah, we're gonna make it harder to land all the shots, which in theory is great, but then they also changed to have higher heating as a upgrade, I believe, anyway, so it doesn't even really fucking matter, does it? They're just arguably making it semi-less usable, maybe giving it a longer firing period to theoretically nerf it, but this isn't going to change the performance at all, I think. Right. They keep playing with this. This is like the 4th fucking time this year they've changed this value, dude. Ridiculous. So it's now from 4% to 60% instead of 7.5 to 60%. Grand. I wonder if the frequency reduction also means that it's less effective at dealing with mines as well now. Or if they're still hit immediately once they enter the radius, rather than it being pulse of damage. I don't know, that or talk about that. This, now we finally actually have a perk for the Reaper. Great. It's about fucking time. Maybe this plus the changes early in the year will make it more usable. I don't know. 3 pin penetration projectile after 10 hits, decreasing on miss. Great. Chronos now stops if there's nothing to restore, which is good because, like I was talking about in the prior video about using the cabin, it was sort of inconsistent and thus kind of difficult to know if it was working. Let's see, now that, I mean, that is just basically a straight buff to what most people would realistically be using it for, which is the fuse drones anyway. But I'm sure those users aren't going to complain. Right, Typhoon. People already talked about how this is an effective debuff decrease, but also when I was using it I only had the one, so it was kind of hard to ascertain if it was actually doing its job of debuffing things effectively, so I can't speak as to any actual benefit or disadvantage, but certainly if you are planning on alternating shots in order to debuff things, it's now going to be a bit more difficult to do so, and the effect will be lower. So yay for being a more effective damage dealer as the highest tier damage dealing cannon, I guess. I don't know, bro. Got the Helicon after 0.75 seconds. Now it's 180 meters, which makes sense significantly. But again, I've never used it, so flash, same thing. And they have decreased it to 3.5, but they also changed the last value, didn't they? 17 times 3.5 is 59.5 rather than 60%. So, you know, it is the debuff twice over. Fun. Ripper damage to... Right, which it probably should have done to begin with. This is another weapon they've consistently changed the perk of and not been happy with. Let's see. 3.5 times damage to melee parts. I guess it's just bumpers and passive melee specifically. Great. Okay, and then this absolute clusterfuck with a system that I hadn't even completely spreadsheet and compared, and it's now completely different again. Fun. Improvements of tonnage movement parts has been doubled from 5% to 10%. So in my graph that does the calculations for cabins with specific movement parts, the tonnage fused movement part is now times 0.1 rather than times 0.05. Let's see if I can replace this entire thing. Yes, huzzah. So, beforehand I had a bunch of separate calculations, but I could just spill it into one. Yippee. So, for actual thresholds changing, I don't know that there's going to be a significant one. But now each tonnage fuse thing gives more tonnage. Yippee. That's just a positive, I guess. Mass limit has been changed to 10%, which does affect op armor. So that's a thing, I guess. Let's see. Doing mass fused available mass. Is now, instead of 3%, it's 10%. So our difference here should, in theory, be fairly minor, I guess. But, like, that adds 70 there. That adds... there, and then that'll take that up to 4,070, right? So even at the highest tier, it's just a difference of 300 mass. Well, I guess we could do, if we had a cohort, I mean, well, it's still only a difference of 300 now. Relatively speaking, it's even lower. Whatever. Let's have damage from self-destruction. Oh my god, I hate this. Let's see. Where is my upgrades? Great. So now nothing is going to be fucking consistent at all, is it? So we have this on another page, which I'd only started to do things to do theory crafting, but now I got to completely redo it, don't I? So now we have cabins, and it'll be our upgrade is the same as before for durability, which is 10% durability, 17% mass, 10% damage resistance, and then it becomes 200 meter built-in radar plus 3 oh my god, plus 3 kph or minus 30% self-destruction time. Great, and of course the plus 3 kph is going to have an outsized effect on any of the slower cabins, which also means that my speed chart is going to need to be updated to also take into account another variable which already is a pretty chock full of things in order to do the calculation. So like when I tried visualizing it, that was also a bit of a pain in my ass, and now it is going to be even worse, isn't it? Because now there's basically a mid class between every class, because you can have the 3 kph instead of the 5 kph, which used to be the lowest difference for these main categories before the engine boosts with Phobos, and now we have a 3 kph one. Isn't that fun? Oh boy. Alright, and then if it's the hippogriff, then it's actually instead a plus 15%. It just feels like they're needlessly complicating all these things, man. Cabin tonnage increased to 15% from 10%. So the thing that'll have the most notable impact on is going to be the machinist, but people aren't going to generally bother doing that anyway, are they? Because now it would only need 8,000 tonnage, which means you could get away with running like 2 tracks on it as a maxed build, which is a pretty interesting premise, but I don't really think is going to happen a whole lot, because you're going to generally need to be slow and tanky. I don't know, let's see, reload time increased. Jeez. And there's so many different subcategories. Whatever, we will just throw all these in as is and adapt as necessary. So durability, mass, damage resistance, that should still be consistent for fucking everything. And then reload time is increased to negative 10% if it has it. So that was from negative 9%. So I guess that's a good thing. A slight buff. The rotation speed upgrade is 30%, so it got buffed from 15%, unless that's specifically different than the Pyre, which is what I'm looking at. So I guess we should probably just start this from scratch for weapons to try and make this easier. So let's take a overheating weapon, and it has 5% damage, 10% time to overheat, which they also made not applicable to the increased cooling speed for whatever reason. It's fucking not counted for increased cooling time, and then a plus 10% cooling rate. different than cooling time. Fun, and then for handling, it's minus 17% spread. Plus 10% rate of fire, because fuck us. And balance, because, you know, the only thing we needed more than a damage parameter in the power stat, which universally increased the damage across all weapons uniformly, is some of them now also have an increased damage per second stat as a secondary one in the traditionally utility / quality of life / ease of use category, is to now also increase damage. Amazing. Fuck's sake. Alright, let's see. Let's take a reloading weapon as an example. Use the elephant. So our first example was the Tempest, our second example is the elephant, and it is now the same 3 first ones, and then 5% damage, 10% explosion radius instead of time to overheat, and minus 10% reload time, which again is different than reload speed and actually theoretically more important. And then we have instead of 17% spread, we have 12% spread stability, 25% projectile speed instead of rate of fire, and then the 30% rotation speed still. If we take a look at, well, I guess they took away the ammo efficiency one, didn't they? Interesting. Okay, let's see. Hit impulse, I don't really hit, well, no, they definitely still have the ammunition increase. So basically it feels like I'd have to start fucking graphing every single upgrade in the game, which to be fair, it kind of looks like they listed here. So I don't know whether or not I want to do that on stream, because that feels like it's going to be pretty time intensive. Let's see, so spread stability. So basically they condensed a bunch of the spread effects, which makes it now free to replace other effects that traditionally had multiple of these options. Oh my god. Okay, let's see. We'll define spread stability. Increased. Increase spread below. No idea what the fuck that means. Okay, well, it's got to be the bloom, right? So it includes bloom, aim, speed, moving, and turning aim debuffs. Spread debuffs. So that seems like a pretty fucking powerful catch-all change. Yeah, no longer affects the maximum time of cooling, which doesn't make any sense because that's like the negative of it, the trade-off. But now it's just a pure upgrade. Fun. Fun, fun, fun. Do I want to include all of these being on stream? Well, I don't have any of the old values, so I will probably do it after the stream, but we can talk about all the differences this will make to balance, huh? Okay, well, I don't know what the fuck. I thought you just said that you replaced it with spread stability. So unless somebody copy-pasted the wrong thing, you're telling me that there's now a new scatter? Yeah, apparently there's spread stability and there's also spread. So great, but why would you bother removing the spread when you now have a rate of fire increase, which is literally just a DPS increase? Amazing. Okay. Well, aim speed, barrel spool up time, that makes sense, kind of, but you're attrition fire anyway, so that doesn't seem like that'll be significant. Weird that this wasn't to begin with. This kind of makes sense because the spread increase did nothing, recoil didn't do anything, so sure, straight upgrades. Penetration ability seems pretty significant on the Reaper, especially if that also applies to the perk one that has 3 meters of pen, or 3 pins. What is it? 3 pins. Yeah, not 3 meters. That would have been 9 pins. That would have been crazy. Well, 10 pins with rounding. That would have been crazy. Placed ammo, which, okay, sure. Projectile speed. Will receive a replacement. Yeah, so they literally changed a whole bunch of these weapons, and then we're like, should we give them exchange coupons? Nah, just like how the step spiders literally entirely changed. And, like class, perk, everything other than its mesh, and they just did, you know, get fucked with the upgrades, I guess. Let's see, my Guardian is changed, so instead of spread stability or range of fire, I now have, or spread, I now have spread stability. Who knows what it was before? Great. My Miller is now resistance to damages, whatever, time to overheat, which is doesn't really apply, but whatever. And then barrel spool up time, which again doesn't really apply, so that kind of makes it a bad fusion. The Arbiter is still durability damage spread, which is peculiar. Whatever, no thing is durability, cooling rate, spread. The Whirl from Doomsday Car is durability damage, rate of fire. So that got a significant buff because it used to be recoil, which again did nothing. Which also means that in theory, if you had fused it for spread, you kind of got cucked out of the new damage one because rate of fire replaced recoil, which was useless. That's fun. The AA gun is the same as the Arbiter, durability damage spread, though in theory you'd probably want projectile speed or rate of fire. And definitely explosion radius, so this is kind of a bad fusion from the current one that isn't even over. Great. I mean, no reason not to want rate of fire on Stillwind, so having that is theoretically just a straight negative, I guess, isn't it? Yes, dude, I'm literally playing right now. Fun. This, which I fused literally yesterday. Yeah, so if you wanted... So this fusion is still technically okay for what I want to do with it, which is sustained damage at sniping. But in theory, you're going to see a whole fucking lot of damage and rate of fire ones for people who are just getting in people's face and blasting. Maybe explosion radius, but I doubt it. And I don't think these should have changed. Penetration and projectile speed is going to be kind of nasty for this. Plus 50% ammo reserves isn't anything to sneeze about either, though, I suppose. These are... Rate of fire is kind of weird for volley fire weapon, but why not? So these didn't get changed at all. Reloading, heating, explosion didn't really change a whole lot. No change, no change. At least, you know, for ones I have. Okay. Here's the one I would have wanted time to overheat, but I guess it's damage. Though I don't know if it got moved around, I just got a suboptimal one to begin with. But I definitely had it on range of fire before, at least as the one I wanted. So I feel like they changed this one significantly and got me cucked in the progress. Let's find out. Where is the Aurora? Replace barrel spool up time with damage. So they took a utility one and moved it to handling. Nice. Replace rotation speed with barrel spool up times. People who had barrel spool up will receive a replacement. Increase in power and barrel spool up in the handling. So before I had barrel spool up and range of fire, I think. And And now instead I have damage, which I don't want because I'm using it as a support weapon, and barrel spool up, which I don't want because I'm using it as a support weapon. Amazing. So they turned my utility Aurora into a DPS Aurora against my will. Love it. So basically, honestly, if anything, this is just means, like, oh, by the way, if we're going to sometimes overhaul the entire upgrade system without any compensation to you or letting you choose your upgrades, get fucked, there's even less reason for a casual player to upgrade, which is literally what they're trying to get more and more people to do with every single one of these battle passes. And now you're disincentivized from doing so because go fuck yourself, we changed your upgrades. Amazing. Amazing. What a great update. And I'm sure people aren't absolutely raging on it, right? 111 comments. 35%. There you go. You can have a downvote too, Failey. Ridiculous. Of course. Yeah. Wow. There we go, the entire crux of this video. Amazing. So, yeah, people are upsetty, and rightfully so, I think. And like I said, while of course there's always people complaining, and there's always the game people saying that, you know, it's dying and stuff. Like, again, this is the most, like, up in arms. I don't know what the fuck this is supposed to be. Maybe this works better on mobile or something. I don't know. No. Yeah. No, this is... People are kind of aggro against this, and honestly, I don't fault them. So, and then we even have the fucking Steam charts and rating bombs which have happened. Alright, puppy. Alright, well, it occurs to me, despite all the ranting and raving and spreadsheeting, you didn't actually even go over all the things that are in the new update. So, I guess we could continue that, and then theoretically, if I'm going to be a good goober, and do what I originally said I was going to do, which is to chapter this, and then theoretically post to Reddit, to just, you know, dogpile on the hate train, because that's what we need right now, then I am probably going to have to download both of these videos and then edit them, smush them together, and then re-upload them. But you know what? Whatever. So, as far as the packs, I don't think there's any surprises really with this build. Unsurprisingly, all the parts have gone super far down in price. They were pretty much literally all double this yesterday. And then the Deluxe, which has a CK for the Whirl, which for some reason it considers a legendary one again. So I guess we're back to putting untradeable, otherwise unbuyable exclusives into Deluxe packs again. Always great fun. But to be fair, it does look neat. And again, Bankshield likes Whirls and likes the Ravager aesthetic. So you can combine that with the Humpback now for the Worm build, which I've showcased a couple of times, although obviously he has more different versions of it. No new structural parts through here. I mean, a couple that we'd theoretically be buying off the badge exchange or via prestiging Steppenwolfs otherwise, but not anything super schnazzy directly. New paint, which is whatever. It seems to just be a reskin of Warg, a recolor of Warg, rather. So there we go, that's the new packs. They have the same as usual for stuff here. They have the new Battle Pass, so if we go to the new this, so everything can be upgraded with one less cost. So if you like random upgrades, which you really shouldn't, you can do that now. Yippee. Then we have this, which is the Christmas event, which has a random sticker for way too many resources to be worth it, probably, although that one was historically money. I don't think anybody's legitimately going to be buying it for a whole lot. And I don't think any of these are new that I don't already have, for instance. Yeah, so just rehash last year. There's these again, these which are all temporary, so nobody gives a shit about them. These which are permanent and thus generally cause a huge price drop. Yeah, last year it went from 4,000 because they hadn't been available in the years prior down to the like 500 mark. So obviously a less severe drop this time. Go up to, oh, so you can make it this year, I guess, which is interesting. So I suppose that does let you make the Ninja Duck a little bit easier, albeit expensively. This is back. These prices are probably going up. No, going down because the new game mode. Interesting. So I'm sure that'll probably dip and then spike back up depending on how much people actually play it. Rehash, rehash, rehash. Rehash, rehash. All of these are rehashes, as can be shown by me already owning all of them. Oh boy, and they have guaranteed fusion event, which I don't even recall reading that in the main update. Oh, by the way, I found the Steam chart. So yeah, game is, you know, as one does. With the huge spike when they got rid of other platforms, so people had to funnel into the Steam version of the game. And yeah, the last year has just been fucking brutal. We're down to literally half that. So even before the spike, you're at around 5,000, and now we are basically back down there. So yeah, that's fun. I'm probably going to continue dropping. I really don't... Okay, so maybe it is a really good thing that I did this update, because I really don't recall them talking about the fucking bench. Or at least its contents. Yeah, a wide variety of parts. Lost and found. Got the... yeah, and okay, so they just had a side note here. The first time they did this, they released the whole list and the dates when they came out, but obviously they decided against that, I guess. Fun. So let's take a look, shall we? We've got a porky. What does it require? 2 porkies and some uranium, which also is not going to be getting any cheaper, I'm sure. So that's what, 10,000? 20,000 right there, is that right? 100, so that times 10, so about 1,000, 10,000, yeah, about 20,000 on top of the 40,000 to get a fused one. Great. Cohort, it's the mass one that I've been dreaming of, but of course the price on this goes super high up, so I can finally maybe get one of these bad boys, although it laughs in plus 3 kph. And I would have to build a couple of these. What would my other options even be? Yeah, it doesn't even really matter. Why not just take the speed on the slowest cabin class in the game anyway, really? We've got these, which nobody cares about. We got this, which is overused and will probably continue to be more so, but no mass, so I think that means that probably won't be popular. Who fucking knows? Bat. I don't know. Blight. Mass, and speed. Yeah, so this is going to be stupid popular, so these are probably going to go spiking back up in price. Dropped, I'm assuming, as a result of the perceived nerf, but they didn't really change much for the negative, so yeah, the floor is shifting up. And we even have the deluxe pack sale available. How convenient. What else we got? Hover efficiency and mass. I'm shocked. Shocked. So those are gonna, yep, spike right the fuck back up. Discharger, which now has an efficiency fusion, so those are gonna be amazing. So those, I'm telling you right now, if you don't already have one of these, you should pick it up because the prices is gonna go stonks. Because these bad boys are from an old permanent blueprint, cost about 300 to make, and now there's a fusion which guarantees to increase their effectiveness. Although to be fair, I suppose too with the event, if it is a guaranteed fusion, you can just get it off of anything. So in any case, a lot of these are going to be sucked up, pretty much guaranteed. Speaking of, I have the wrong version of this on here, don't I? Because I saw in the original update they said they were going to do this, and boy oh boy am I so not shocked they do this, so I already picked a couple up. I am highly recommending others who have interest in the reloading modules do the same, since, you know, they're only effectively mandatory on half the builds in the game. Okay, where are we here? What else we got? At least they ordered them in like release order. Normally they're in rarity, which is kind of annoying to have to hop around, but yippee. I don't think the values of most of these are going to come as any great surprise. For ones I'm specifically interested in, I don't even know if there really is any other than the cohort, but that's because it's been a long time interest of mine. So, that is actually metafuse for that. Likewise with that one, I guess. So those are good for people who are not completely fed up with the game by now, I guess. This one, yeah, new fastest speed available, fun. So that dipped in price quite a bit when it came out with the pack, and now shocker, which also means that this is probably spiked up, or if not, it will. Yeah. These are stupid popular right now, so I don't even think the fusion matters. People are going to be snapping them up. Wow, the ideal Bastion fusion, which I already have a near copy of, but it's not the maximum speed one because they replaced the perk differently. Where shows the Helicon, of course, you, because why not? Whole bunch of stuff. The thing is, like, I don't particularly care about most weapons that I'm not explicitly using Menace. So I'm sure a couple of these are going to be God Fusion. Lamau. Yeah, totally fucking called it. I'm sure a bunch of these are going to be God Fusions for weapons, but I'm not going to go over them one at a time. So the benefit of me scrolling through it is that you yourself can check afterwards if any of these are of interest, or you think any of these will be of interest. Let's see, probably, oh yeah, dude. price on this fell through the fucking floor because everybody's selling their relics for the fucking Odin now, right? Amazing. Great, so just a whole lot of whale baiting. And then we try out the thing that will actually... Why do you keep treating this like it's new? I get it. I literally already queued for it by accident. And then, of course, these people who are already stupid high on it. Three fucking legendary items of their choice. Ridiculous. Catering to whales, baby. Let's see, I don't even think, yeah. Because the old Steel Championship, before they scrubbed ratings, actually showed the entire community. Even those who scored 0 points, who had about 10,000 at the time, but now it looks like they're not even showing past a minimum scoring. And like, look at that, even for this event, for that, only 115 people contributed. Amazing. Alright, what do we got? Our new Battle Pass. So much fun, so much balance. We got a bunch of stuff here. I think this might be a new one. Yeah, not tradable. And it's free, at least. Small blessings, I guess. Bunch of free stuff there. Then we got millers, because of course we do. I totally fucking call it. They come back into this Battle Pass, because they are nigh fucking uncraftable. So their price fucking doubles, and it's probably going to stay up there because I'm sure it's used for crafting some of the other things. Great. Oops, not you. That a CK actually pretty decent, especially for free, so credit where it's due. Oh, and then they also need Sleipnir, which are hilariously unpopular generally speaking. So like, I don't even think, yeah, like I was trying to buy some at 875 to actually use them for a build, but like, well, I guess we'll see what happens with the price. I'm guessing it goes back up despite them not actually being used for anything. More Miller stuff, more temp stuff, military reserve, everybody's favorite. That which was available from the event last time around, so I guess yay for that. Paint badges. This is still just the temporary version. Oh shit, 2 CKs for free. That's actually kind of a big deal. They're generally extremely stingy with these things. So like normally like 1 or 2 a year maybe. So getting 2 in one Christmas is one Battle Pass is kind of crazy. That's new and cool. This is probably a decoration. And then that boy, also free, very cute, adds to the duck collection, so that's cool. And then a part of your choice that's tradable, but most of these kind of suck, especially only having one of, so whatever, I guess, other than maybe this, now that it's nigh impossible to get because of the whole engraved casings thing. But what are you going to do with a single fidget, you know? Oh, apparently laugh at how the price dropped so severely for no discernible reason. Okay, guys. And our good buddy Therms, which I definitely did just sell a shit ton of. Alright, so as for this, create Sleipnir with Sleipnir and Therm. Miller with Miller and Therm, and then let me guess, you create the Omamori with those, and then the Hugin, it didn't even have a chance to fucking cool off in price. It actually was already doubled from where it was, and now we're fucking doubling it again, because we're immediately using it in the next Battle Pass, despite now not having a way to get this, other than if you'd already gotten in the prior Battle Pass. So this is going to shoot up stupidly in price, because this shoots up stupidly in price, because now it's used for 3 different things, one of which is just using it in builds. And then you need multiple of all the things again to get an upgraded Omamori. Amazing. We get Therms from the Therm of the Iris. Great. Look at all this value you guys are getting, huh? Isn't it amazing? Get all these new meta cabins for only the cost of your soul. items that are way too expensive on the market. Don't you love it? Don't you love it? Seeing maybe a pattern here with it being a Therm and a Miller for all these too. Oh, there we go. There's the metafusion for it. It's going to be fucking everywhere with the Destructor and Athena. On the back, of course. And then our new buddy, the Buffed Reaper. Which, I mean, you're not going to drop 10,000 on a fucking Reaper. It ain't worth that much. I mean, most of these aren't even worth it. Even the fucking Fused Cyclone isn't worth it. This isn't worth it. None of these are worth the 10,000 for an Omamori. So, like, I don't even get it. It's just pretty much, hey, the reward is an Omamori, I guess. So, great, you know, extracting more wealth from people. Precisely what we wanted. So, you know, I guess for the low price of 10 to 15 bucks, you know, you can get 2 Omamoris, and then with those 2 Omamoris, you can basically just fucking sell them for enough to get a third of a relic or half of a relic or even maybe a relic now with the prices dropping for people getting the Odin. You know, just the small price of your dignity, I guess. But hey, at least those Omamori prices will drop back down theoretically in a month's time. Isn't that great? Excellent. Well, let's might as well get our dailies done, right? I'm sorry, what? This is a PvE thing where you can use a helicopter? Okay, there's no way we're not trying this out. You know, this is a super shitty meant to be art build, but whatever. Gotta love the new brrrting sounds then. This motherfucker appearing offline changed his build 3 times in the last 2 days. He's not logging online playing games with me. Oh, and then of course the Xbox app is probably going to have me unmuted in game again, right? Beaut. This is just the same as last time, I guess, isn't it? It's just an OBJ defense. But I question why we're allowed aircraft here. All the players are destroyed. Well, I don't know if it's a bug or not, but I guess we at least know how people get those fucking ridiculously high scores. They're probably just this kind of build hovering over the fucking middle of the map, right? Because I got infinite damage, I got infinite ammo, baby. And they're going to have a hell of a time hitting me from up here. I really don't think I'm going to be going the 60 waves people say they've gone, especially because, again, this is literally an art build. Like, I imagine motherfucker is probably running a complete squad of people with Catalinas. I don't even think there's a power score limit. I think there's a minimum, 4,000. I don't think there's anything stopping you from bringing the new Odin, Catalina, and then a fuck ton of Arbiters in here. Say 5. 2 Iron Seals, and then just going for, you know, the entire match from this height. Weapons don't overheat. Oh, there we go. They can deal with me. Definitely seems right. Well, too, to have infinite respawns, because if not, that would complicate this significantly, because they say when all players are destroyed, so I don't know if they just mean all players at once, in which case you might even benefit from having a dude just running a stealth build and hiding on the peripheral of the map, or if everybody only has 1 respawn, like was the case last time, or if we have infinite respawns like present heist, but it's with delay, I don't know. But like, if you, aircraft has to be allowed here on purpose, right? It would be a pretty severe oversight, you know, for it to not be something that they explicitly fucking tested during this event. Oh, this is the whole Ravager thing again. So if you shoot off their eyes, then they become friendly. Alright. Interesting. Well, that also means you don't even really need to kill everything, does it? Just a degree of get good. Of course, better if you manage to shoot off their eyes before degunning them, I guess. And also, again, explains how people got so far. If you don't actually need to kill all the motherfuckers, just be really accurate. But of course, this will kill them partially in the progress, right? Well, that guy, I think, lost all of his eyes and is still hostile. So much for that idea, unless they have hidden eyes on the inside or something. I don't know, what was the high score? Like 6,000, 5,000? We're already at 1187, so unless those components are like disconnected from one another, I strongly doubt they're making it 60 waves. Let's find out. Well, okay, infinite respawn, so as long as not everybody dies at once, I guess. And then, you know, the whole timer thing, which will probably be more of a factor the further on you go, I'm sure. We got a metal carol of the bells in the background, and also this motherfucker, which immediately stripped all my important bits. So yeah, definitely gets harder, especially for aircraft. Although I suppose a large portion of that is just due to me not being invisible. Yeah, I don't think they would have made nests usable for like the first time ever by accident, where they happen to have the aircraft in, so. It's a weird one to prio, but sure, bro. Sure you don't want to prio the one that has a special buff for us if we kill him? Oh, there we go. Oh, that's not good. I'm not running projectile explosions. I'm gonna start having to fucking self-destruct once a wave at this rate. But again, this is, you know, a fucking fusion build, art build, so maybe I shouldn't be surprised that it's not exactly effective in something which is obviously meant to be a fairly hardcore competitive environment. Well, still unsure how I made that other guy friendly, I guess. Thank God, I keep spawning on the far side. Yeah, so I can see the benefit of having cloak just to get on top of these guys without them gunning down half your build on the way over. Cheater, stop mounting your teammate. Fight me with honor. I feel like it would be incredibly difficult to use, but the dove might also unironically actually be pretty decent here. Sure as shit not going to be able to Mandrake or header these guys effectively, but flying above them, dropping a shit ton of mini bomblets, yeah. We can probably manage that. Or, you know, old faithful retros. You guys got the mooks, so I will get respawn for the boss. Not that I imagine it's going to help a whole lot. Unless, of course, it's not a boss yet. Now they decide to spawn on the other side, which is inconveniently right where I'm trying to take it off on. Lovely. There's a lot of fucking Aegis y'all got. Oh, there goes a bunch of my building in. Took out pretty much all of these guys' eyes, and he's definitely still hostile, so I don't know what determines making him friendly. I think we're probably going to L on this wave, though. Spawn campers, bro. What am I supposed to be doing about this precisely? Well, at least they had the good sense to not make it spam 30 seconds left every time you got a kill, and then it went down to 30 seconds. Then small victories, eh? Well, now he's friendly for reasons unknown. Hey, for us. Boss time? Yep. He's sniping me out of the sky. Droop. That guy is definitely gonna kill us, though. No way in hell we're killing the fucking 2 times the Leviathan equivalent. Oh, hey! The Sayonara challenge counts on here. That's interesting. It's good, because normally I don't fucking die 5 to 10 times in a raid. Come on, bro, where are your juicy explosives at? Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna be able to fucking solo him down. same team. You know what? Surprisingly not bad for a bunch of randos. I mean, again, running a fucking art build. Wow, okay. Yeah, very interesting. Well, at least I can finally finish those fucking trials, I guess. Fuck ton of EXP. I mean, honestly, this isn't a terrible game mode. Which is saying a bit, considering, you know, historically. So let's do this. Let's try out my new thing. See if I'm correct that now that they've changed how tonnage works, you can actually drag a trailer teammate without causing issues because they have their wheels on the ground. Oops, fuck that up. Let's see, what was the leaderboard thing for it anyway? I'm assuming it used that score, but that would be kind of silly, because again, we got halfway there. Yep, apparently just straight up did. Okay. Well, I imagine we're probably going to break the 10,000 mark then. Like, not me specifically, but like the community. Once people get the whole system figured down pat. Okay, that's not what I wanted. But it'll do, I guess. Unless, of course, I can't break off the foot now. Come on, baby. Good enough. This appears to have an identical amount of difficulty point. Oh! I mean, it straightened them out, which we couldn't get done last time, but it looks like it's still having the same issue where even though all of their wheels are touching the ground, and thus it shouldn't be applying the anti-wedge mechanic to me. It either is, or again, my original idea of it just has too much traction to resist movement, which I suppose might be more likely is the case. It sure is doing a lot of jittering even when I'm not moving though. I don't know, I mean it's definitely going better, but not exactly a win, I don't think, especially with how it's being. I don't know why this part is flashing yellow. That's weird. Oh, right, this. Because I never completed this trial because this trial specifically required you to die and return multiple times, and I wasn't going to spend the repair kits for that. But aha, apparently I now have another way to do it if I don't mind dying, 10-ish times a match, which, I mean, it's easy enough for me to just farm it by purposely dying, I suppose. But teammates may not be a super big fan of that. But hey, at least it's free on the repair kit side of things. And possibly bugged, because I don't seem to recall that being the case last time this event was around. Although maybe, like I said earlier, that I believe it was just a single respawn for free as per usual with raids. But I'm actually not sure. Well, in any case, however, dailies, which don't really matter as much as the badges, which we should be getting a shit ton in the game mode, so we'll just keep doing the game mode and ignore the dailies for now. Try this shit out, because I don't even know what else you want to try out. Because PvP is probably a clusterfuck with all these changes currently. We got a nice little spot for you. You can even check how the market's doing, Lamo. Yes, I still don't care about Byron Ray, thank you. Oh, okay, they made those tradable again. I suppose that makes sense. Let's see what happened overnight, shall we? Yeah, so sold all the fucking therms and then bought a bunch of things that I just had on the market because, you know, of course people did for, you know, the new things. Which also means some of these other prices are probably whack. Like, good luck to me getting any of these now. So yeah, easily 800 each, which means that that gets kind of brazy. So making the Nova cabin and the cohort cabin gets brazy. Shocker, right? Yeah, and everybody having the same idea. Like at least, I guess the prices for these dropped, and then, you know, people realized, oh, I use those for crafting the cohort. So I can maybe get the big boy finally as the game is in its fucking death throes. No, it was mostly the cohort and the Nova, you know, the heavy, super heavy cabin, and then the pseudo heavy cabin that I was interested in getting upgraded. But Nova ain't on this list. And all the relic prices fucking crashed, which makes it kind of hard to fund those things. But yeah, isn't that fun? Okay, well, we got this saved. So if we're making a fucking heavy thing, I guess, like I said, the obvious answer is the Catalina, but I guess I missed the dip. So we're going back to silly prices, especially because the deluxe pack sale for it ended. So you'd have to spend the $40 for the cabin, which is just silly, because the other things in that pack are worth nothing. So I don't really want to buy the Catalina, do I? So I guess we don't get a super cheese the event, so we can try and run that instead, I guess. I just run the cohort, but like I think the primary issue is going to be the damage output rather than the durability concerns. But hey, on the plus side, we don't have to worry about actually making the build artistic anymore. We can lose some parts for those. We can try this bad boy out. And then because we can probably just put that behind the cabin now. Oh yeah, but of course I don't have the fucking hummingbirds to actually max out en masse, and their price is probably going up as per usual. Because of all things, the pack sale doesn't include the piercer, and now the piercer is used in other things, so the prices for this probably aren't going to drop down below 1100. seems like I might just be a little cooked on that front, I guess. Oh, heck. I basically need to completely rebuild for this game mode. So I get that, not that it really helps me a whole lot, because I plan to stick around enough to get the challenges done for a Starfall. The second one doesn't really help me a whole lot right now, so I can just spend it now to get the second CR2. Yeah, so whatever. We'll try out a few different things, I guess. Can try out the dove, can try out the reapers, try out the riches. Question why it's not wanting to go under there. Got that. Slap everybody's favorite raid weapon on. I'll just say fuck it for the time being. And then add more armor. Not that it's necessarily going to do a whole lot right now. I guess we gotta find out. We kind of do that though. Because I'm probably going to have to pull out that fucking calculator again. Despite it still not being up to date with those ninja changes they made. Really half-assed job. Very reminiscent of the devs work. Hold on. I'm gonna cry when they inevitably insta-kill my neutrino scope again because I'm being a goofy and still having it directly under the cabin where they're actively going to be shooting. Beautiful. Ready to set some Luna boards, baby. Unless I was going to get a cloak, but also ended up kind of needing that energy for a engine. Parthenax, excellent selection. Loses time. Okay, well that's another factor that I've not been immediately aware of. Yeah, but she's not OP at all. The thing, why aren't even upgraded? Could easy opportunity to change what I'm planning on spending all my bearings on. How exciting. I'm probably going to be able to stay alive long enough that I won't, I probably won't be able to stay alive long enough that into not needing ammo, but let me give it a go, I guess. Oh, sorry dude, trying to get the ammo bot. Well, I guess I'm not getting that either. Great. Save some of them. Okay. So, yes, I guess I had the right idea. I just wasn't successful enough at it. Oh, yeah, there goes the neutrino. Oh, and I have double radiators on here, no cooling. And also complicate things. Okay, oh, there I go. So, let's see, we're at 3 minutes. Me dying takes it down to 10 seconds. It's honestly not that bad. I mean, it's not like I'm going to be more effective than a 10-second difference overall with only one weapon. But obviously, we don't exactly want people to go out of their way to go kill that. Oh, that's a good idea, using the fucking flock, too. Especially since I got absolutely drilled with missiles from that first boss. He's probably going to span over behind me. Nope, on the other side already then. Still going to snipe my shit, though. And there's the flock potentially being useful. Thank you, Rando. I guess too, also means just having one teammate with a flash or spark could theoretically shut down all that nonsense. I feel like they purposely spawn the bots as far away as possible in each wave too, which makes sense. Very annoying nonetheless. You know, maybe my team has got a good idea by staying away the fuck back and letting somebody else take all the aggro. That's not good. I wouldn't pay attention. I wonder if the timer ever actually goes up more than 3 minutes. Perhaps not. It might just be the cap. Which also means that theoretically you'd want to space out your kills so you have more effective time rather than theoretically overflowing. On the other hand, I guess it deals with the whole dying thing, doesn't it? I suppose too, I can always just, you know, try taking evasive action, so I'm actually up here, which is probably wiser than letting them just spam shoot me. We're starting to have some trouble, huh? I wonder if towering would be relevant here. Have your cabin on the ground, stick your weapons way up in the air if they'd even bother shooting at you still. Oh, we're certainly having a much rougher time than the last run. Also doesn't have more people, split them out and give the enemies more weapon angles. Yeah, maybe you gotta D-gun and take out the Ravager eyes, that makes sense. That's a long ass cool. Yeah, we got kind of wrecked that wave, eh? Alright guys, I got them all nice and underneath me. This is the part where you kill them all, please. Thank you. I think we're going to have the same issues with the same boss. My teammates are, I guess, dealing with the other guys that are threatening them. So we lost a lot of time for that. And I'm sure he spawns over there this time. Yeah. And starts sniping. Aw, shit. Ouch. Not a great place for you to get stuck, buddy. Unless you're gonna kill him this time, I guess. But doesn't exactly lead me to believe that we're necessarily going to be able to clear the next waves. I'm sure it's not going to be any easier than this. Yeah, maybe if they capped time after killing a boss, but they don't have much incentive to do that, do they? Yeah, I think the biggest thing is probably just corralling these motherfuckers. That requires a team to kind of be on it from the hip hop. Oh shit, dudes just died as more spawned in. That's interesting. But I don't think we would have gotten the EX or the time for that. Oh shit, we got a shit ton of time maybe. Alright. Slow tire man, a little glitchy, alright. See, what is conquering about cyclones and cyclone spider? No, well, that makes sense why that would be outperforming. Although by less of a margin than I would have expected. Oh, these fucking guys cross-mapping me. So inconsiderate. Especially when they immediately get all my explodey bits in scope. Man, I'm already down to one gun. Yeah, that's me done again. So there's some more time. Interesting. Oh, nothing stopping me from making an identical build with different upgrades, I guess. Well, I really am a fan of the vertical play. But admittedly, a little bit more difficult with these than the Arbiters, despite an obvious damage difference. You know, it'd be filthy having at least one person running fucking incinerators. That could make a big difference. Because they just spawn fairly close together off the hop. Well, so much for all that extra time we had. I guess that's the benefit of the overheat weapons as well, being able to stop these guys on spawn, huh? Stop shooting me, you jerks. Oh, I did not take my suggestion too hard. I definitely got to be close to the 10 kill badge by now at least. I don't know where I checked that. I think the biggest thing is just that, like I said earlier, we're too spread out, so we can't corral them. We can't get those AoE multi-kills as easily, so we can't farm score. We have to keep running around and avoiding shots and shit. Of course, everybody dying every 15 seconds or so doesn't help us either this state. But I'm also not exactly immune to that issue. In fact, I'm probably one of the ones dying the most. The Starfall Helios worlds. Hell is probably not helping compare as much to the rest either. Yeah, that's where I could get the badge now. Alright, well, I mean, like, we got further, I suppose. Yeah, it took a shit ton of damage though. Not ideal. My favorite. So you basically need to double that performance, which is wild. So, let's see how people have issues. Oh yeah, that might do it. The rich get richer, baby. Who else to win multi-thousands, tens of thousands of reward than people who already have hundreds of thousands, right? At least this is a great badge grind. Small blessings basically means you don't need to bother doing PvP, I guess. Get a shit ton of crackers too. Yeah, it's not really a terribly great electronics farm, but I mean, I guess we're only taking These timestamps are awfully different for no discernible reason. Oh, this was all part of this badge. Okay, well, that makes more sense. Let's see, how could I improve upon this? I really do think cloaking is the answer. But I'm also not sure what non-Catalina cabin I could run to actually significantly increase my damage. I guess it would kind of have to be the Harpy with the retchers, but I'm not so sold those are the golden ticket either. Well, let's see what Bay Boy's up to. Lamau. Don't know why we can't invite him to game, but whatever. I guess there's also a workaround to prevent people in game from hearing me talking, but maybe not knowing Xbox. Let's see, what would a Harpy one even look like? We probably don't need that. Two, we're obviously going to be cutting down on a lot of the size of this thing. A lot. Okay. Well, let's just try from scratch, shall we? Let's see. Probably stand to at least use the hot red. If we're wanting to avoid damage, probably okay to run this. In theory, in practice, we'll see. And then that leaves us with... Let's see. About 6,000, which is basically 2 coaxial. 4 of these only gets me at 4,800. Quite a bit heftier, and also limits the speed cap, so I guess the coaxial is probably going to be the way to go for the event. Which I suppose makes sense. Also makes it easier to hit things with these. And we can use the quote-unquote weapon that is the flock to hopefully help us out a bit, assuming it doesn't conflict. Boo, no fun zone. Whatever. Disclaimer, I have no idea what I'm doing, in case that wasn't extremely obvious. I think it might be better to go this road anyway. No, we don't even need much more tonnage though, do we? I say 6,000, so that we only need 4,000. 3,000. I'm speed capped. And I don't get the perk, so I think that'll just have to be as it is. Let's see about arranging this in a better way. Probably it'll be difficult. Yeah, I don't expect this to go very well at all, but we can armor her up and give him a go. Well, theoretically, I'm sure Space Armor will be king again. But I'm just gonna do the quick and lazy way right now. And then iterate as needed. I don't know, maybe even Master Cabin. Something like this might actually be a better route. I'm sure it'll be extremely painful trying to figure out how to get the important bits all attached at once. Oh, they're beautiful, just as I had intended from the get-go. Oh, this thing is ugly. But hey, if she works. Let's find out. Supposed to a viewer. Oh, and it's got me unmuted in game again. Disgusting. Alright, well. Oh shit, they are a pre-made with a 21,000. Don't suppose you happen to have an Odin, sir or ma'am. Don't really know how else you're gonna hit 20,000 without ridiculous stuff. I don't know, I was saying if you underslung the retchers, like yes, they'd have limited rotations, but with the drop that might actually be a bad thing. You'd probably eyeball it and make it so that it's always hitting dudes really far away, whereas with this there's obviously a limit based on the curve and also how far up I can look without my vehicle getting in the way. I definitely am loving the cloak and cheetah though. Spark is an interesting choice. I guess it makes sense for popping their eyes, though. If it's anything like in the Ravager event. It's me failing a good whammy. Great. Oh, there we go. Yeah, these guys are crawling into the under the bridge area. That's clever. Definitely a hell of a lot easier dodging shots going with 16 kph though. Imagine that. This definitely got much better. Thank you, Relic users. Yeah, okay guys. Oh, good for pork user, I guess. Not so good for me. Alright guys, it's not a concern at all. It occurs to me now that they aren't just pre-marked on maps, so the radar does have a use, but also means it probably benefit greatly from using a radio. Whoopsie. Great, so what else can do with them? What is the team god anyway? Oh, a Mind Dragger, that's interesting. Not the Odin. Oh, think of how much more you could do, sir. Hit that 24,000 power score. Apparently we're very good at dealing with lots of enemies, not so good at dealing with only one enemy. You spent a fucking minute on that one, dude. No bonus. Interesting, I'm not even able to get the J bonus when I'm right above them. Yeah, come on, bro. Definitely a lot easier. We got one dude who can't even aim up though. Oh, except for that guy, I guess. Where'd that go? There it goes. I just take the opportunity, have a break, pee, grab some tea, all good stuff. Whereas once again I can't proc J despite getting dummy thick direct hits. Also cried how much time I lost as a result of peeps being dead and not helping with this. That's alright. Probably won't have any negative implications for our attempt at doing a long-term score, right? Yeah, not looking good for me. Oh, there we go. I don't know if that was my first death, I doubt it. There's another dude who just spawned in partway through. Tisk tisk. Guess they still have limits where my dudes can be spawned once. I don't really get the point of having a mine dragger build in this. Guess maybe they're deep up enough for it to be effective. Seems like just a way to take a lot more damage than you really ever need to, though. I don't know if it disrupts the AI enough. It's a good enough aggro tank. I guess if we see him around in the future on the leaderboards with the same build, then we'll know, won't we? Guess Bangle ain't joining us in the festivities either. At least not for the time being. Well, I probably picked the wrong part of enemies to engage here. Oh, there we go. This will be a tough spot for him to get angles on me. Oh, if I forget to even out. Sobs and no neutrino. I'm cheating again. Every time teammates want to pork some of these guys, you know. The enemy count isn't even going down, I notice. That's not concerning the slightest. Oh, neither of us wanted to be there, buddy. There we go, now we're down to 15. Fuckers. Oh, damn. No, I think that might be an L on this wave again. Especially because the enemy count went back up to 16. What are you doing? Oh, getting pushed around. Yeah, I could see that being problematic for a pork. Jeez, so much shit. Oh, and they keep spawning on the outskirts, so yeah, you're really dependent on staying on the outside edge and keeping them preoccupied, because if we let them pull us away, and then we kill them, then they still just respawn and start sniping us again. Yeah, I'm working on it, game. It's a little difficult. Probably not a good play for me to push them super hard here either, because you know, I've lost most of my effectiveness. We're barely crawling along for time. If I die now, for instance, we'll definitely lose. But I'm having hella difficulties killing to try and make up for that. Oh, there we go. Looks like there's the team got it sorted. Oh, maybe not. But I'm not going to be able to do much now anyway. If we lose because we lost 10 seconds, I don't think it would have made the difference. Nice that Main's managed to jump up and get in the lead though, because, I mean, shit, with multiple porks, he'd have probably been there from the start. But yeah. I mean, again, you know, no. Oh, there's that 10 respawn, yeah. Anyway, not to say that I'm, you know, playing perfectly either, but I think definitely a large part of this is just holding back and then having to funnel them and then having them snipe us over and over and over. Oh, fuck. Yeah. Seeing as they snipe us once at this stage and I lose my entire build effectiveness, so I don't know, maybe it's better to be far away rather than up close and constantly getting hammered by things, but I mean if we're directly above their spawn all in helicopters theoretically, that's not to say that that's necessarily good either, but theoretically if we were all up close on top of them, then we could kill them without them hitting us for the most part, and then when they respawn they still can't hit us. In theory, as opposed to right now where they half map me and then we kill them and then the new ones half map me. Or if I try and go to not get half mapped by the new ones, the old ones half map me while my team tries to deal with them, so. Too bad the timer is a load of shit though, not the timer but the enemy counter. Being 16, 16, 16, 16, 16, 16 as you keep killing them. Like, enemies left in wave, enemies left on screen as 2 separate timers would be useful info for sure. No, that's me dead again. But again, to their credit, like, the team is pulling ahead on me on points on everybody other than the mine build. And keeping it alive, at least for now, but like, this isn't sustainable. We can't win by staying at 20. Well, it looks like we finally hit the tipping point for the enemy spawning again, so now, theoretically, if we can just stay alive, yeah, we shouldn't be sniping us anymore. I suppose that's the benefit of bridges too, you can kind of force them to get up close, not snipe you, but then you're also right in front of their fucking gun barrels now. We still gotta deal with the dude half mapping. We might not be able to clear this way at this point. There we go. Barely. I mean, shit, jumped up pretty high on points. Not, you know, nearly enough to get him first, but not bad for, you know, third run. Oh yeah, there's me degunned. Trying to try to our attention, guys, but I ain't going to be killing any of these guys. So the team would have to pull some pretty positive kill ratio here in order to even allow me to respawn and to contribute again. So I think that right there's the wasn't bad though. Wasn't bad at all. Of course, you're also theoretically competing against the own people in your group if you don't get up into that super high score, right? Because like those two guys scored at me way more damage. Praise be porks and heating, as it were. Oh yeah, because kills barely count for anything. It's pretty much exclusively the mission program. Well, I don't know how that guy didn't get the 5-3-4-3 for that. Then, shit ton of patches, though. Well, so let's see. I mean, I'm sure like I said, I'm sure the leaderboard is going to keep shifting as more and more people get more and more competent with it. Yeah, so that bumped us up. Too bad you can't. You sort now? Yeah, well, not that it matters since I'm the only one playing. But yeah, so it looks like 7,000 is a breakpoint all on its own. Yeah, so top 100 for the next tier. It's just crazy competitive difference between top, what is it, 1,500? Goes even lower, yeah. Crazy the difference between that and then just hitting the next thing. Like, at least, you know, there's a pretty wide range of participation rewards, but like, love present heist, all you need to do is get in the top 1,000. I'm not saying that this score would stay in the top 1,000 for sure, but it'd be nice if I didn't have to dedicate, like, having to be in a, like, full stack with relics in order to have a chance of making it to legendary. Puppy. Well, there's the electronic spike I was saying would happen. Shocker. Yeah. I don't think I'll be getting any of those anytime soon. Also don't think those will be selling for very much anymore. Cycling these. I don't know, doubt it. Seems like for the most part people are just gonna use ones from the Battle Pass, not need outsource other than, you know, the Hugin, which is gonna be fucking overpriced as hell anyway. Rude. Well, I think that's probably me done with this for the time being. I mean, it's just basically devolved from going over the update to playing the update, so not sure that I can really contribute anything else more for people in their interest. So yeah, I guess we'll call it at that and continue to weep over the prices of the Hugin.